Today on an all-new Dr. Phil, a DNA test.
Amanda contacted me. I thought it was a scam.
I got a message, your dad is my dad.
A shocking discovery.
What goes through your mind when you find out, wow, I have 3 sisters I didn't know I had?
And non-stop drama.
The first time all 4 sisters are in the same room ever.
When Dad drops a bombshell.
That is an absolute higher form of insanity. Why would you do that? Today's going to be a changing day in your life. You've never had anybody working harder to bring you to the threshold of change than right now. Thank you very much. Well, you know, there's something going on right now called DNA discoveries that are changing the face of modern-day families. More than 12 million people used an at-home DNA kit last year with often shocking results. Now, some reveal previously undisclosed lineages, long-lost siblings, or family secrets buried for decades. One woman found out her husband was actually her cousin. And yet another test left a man with new knowledge that he had a daughter. Well, DNA results have dropped shocking bombshells and unearthed family scandals. My next guest, Amanda, can certainly relate. Her at-home experiment uncovered 3 secret sisters and a different biological father than what she thought she had. She wrote to me desperately seeking to help navigate this new family tree. Take a look.
For the first 16 years of my life, my mother led me to believe this one man was my father. At 16, a DNA test was done. He was not my father. She then told me another man was my father. I believed that for the next 22 years. At 38, I ordered another DNA test. My DNA came back. It said there was someone by the name of ES who matched me as a half-sibling. Sent messages to about 40 different girls with that name. It was my half-sister, Elizabeth. I joined a Facebook group that helped me find lost family members, leading me to find my biological father, David. When I saw this picture, I knew this was my dad. And then I found out that I had 3 sisters. I went to my mother and asked her about David. She did tell me they were together one time. David moved to a different city almost immediately after I was born. Not having a dad was really hard because that's who is supposed to protect his daughter. I grew up in rough conditions, dirty homes and barely food sometimes. I always wanted a dad helping out, providing and keeping me safe. The interactions that I've had with my biological father, David, up to this point have been very inconsistent. He'll text me every day for a month, and then I won't hear from him for 3 weeks. I'm worried that David is going to be an unreliable person in my life, and that's why I need Dr. Phil.
Okay, you've not had a good run through your childhood, right?
No, sir.
This was painful for you. A lot of this was painful.
It was. When I found him, I was so happy, but I was so angry at the same time. I wanted my sisters in my life, and now that I'm almost 40, this is the first time that we're ever meeting. I'm so scared of meeting them. I wish I would have known them my whole life. Maybe things would have been different.
Because you've been robbed of that.
I have.
Because you were told for 13 years that one man was your father.
Yes, sir.
How did you find out he wasn't?
So we didn't have much food when I lived with my mom. And I just asked her, why aren't you getting child support from him? Well, in order to do that, a DNA test has to be done. So when the DNA test came back, he was my brother's dad, but not my dad.
Okay. So then she told you, well, okay, it's not him, it's this other person.
Right.
And you were allowed to believe that for 20 years.
I was. What
do you say to yourself about this? I don't matter enough for you to find out who my father is and tell me? I mean, come on.
Yeah, I almost feel like I was a material thing in order to have a relationship with a man. That's what I feel like.
Doesn't make you feel like a priority.
It doesn't. I've never felt like a priority. I feel like I was never wanted.
And so your hope now is that you know who your father is.
Right.
And you've discovered that you have 3 sisters. One you've met just briefly. The other 2 you've never met.
I've never
You're going to meet
met.
them today for the first time.
And I'm so excited.
Maybe.
Right. Right.
Because these could be bitches from hell. We always say blood is thicker than water.
Right.
But history is thicker than blood. Because relationships are based on shared experiences and history that you've all been through, either together or separately, whatever. And when you come together as adults, just because you have some shared chromosomes
Right.
doesn't mean you have a relationship. You have to be careful what you wish for.
You know, I've never looked at it like that. I've looked at it, maybe they won't like me, you know, maybe.
Well, that's possible. They might meet you and go, whoa.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, no,
Yeah, because, I mean, everybody that's been adopted or abandoned or whatever, they can have these fantasies that, you know, their parents and siblings are beautiful people living in Beverly Hills and have wonderful lives and lots of money, and you're going to be swept up into this glamorous lifestyle.
Right.
Really, you don't know, or they don't know about you. So there's a lot of discovery to take place. So let's get to it. Coming up, Amanda and her newly found sisters come together for the first time ever, right here on this stage. We'll be right back.
Amanda contacted me. I thought it was a scam.
I got a message from a girl named Amanda. I found out a few weeks ago that your dad is my dad.
I am going to be meeting my sisters Amanda and Jenny for the first time.
When I found out about my dad, I also found out about my 3 sisters. So here I come, 38 years later. Surprised you have another sister. None of them knew about me. Now we have to start over. They all had a place in the family. Big sister, middle sister, little sister. All this time, Marie thought that she was the biggest sister, but now I'm actually the biggest sister. I'm really excited to be in a room with my dad and all 3 of my sisters. My biggest fear is once they meet me, not wanting to have a relationship with me. It's about to like rip my heart out of my chest.
Well, Amanda was shocked to hear that she had 3 sisters after receiving the results of an at-home DNA test. Now, her sisters, Marie, Elizabeth, and Jenny, knew about their father, but they say it was far from a fairy tale.
My parents got married very young. My mother told me that it was a tumultuous relationship, a volatile marriage. Our father had a temper. I believe that I was 3 years old when David left. My little sister would have been about 2.
I don't know a whole lot about him or why they divorced or what the situation was at the time.
David never tried to contact us after he left.
I do remember him giving me a cross necklace. That's really the last memory I have of his visit.
My dad left Marie and Liz's mom for my mom. My mom and David raised me. My parents' relationship wasn't that stable. I've always known about Elizabeth and Marie. I was curious about them growing up. I was 12 when my parents got divorced. My dad is not a part of my life now.
Growing up, Elizabeth and I were a bit jealous that Jenny was Daddy's little girl, got to grow up with our father.
Why did he want to keep her and be in her life and not mine and not Marie's?
About a year ago, I got a message on Facebook Messenger from a girl named Amanda. It says, "Hi, Jenny, my name is Amanda. I found out a few weeks ago that your dad is my dad. He never knew about me, and I didn't know about him. I know this is probably a shock.
And then Amanda contacted me. I thought it was a scam. I did message her back. Who is this? What do you want? But I was very excited to find out that I had a sister. Amanda has really brought this all together like a true big sister. I am going to be meeting my sisters Amanda and Jenny for the first time. I'm really excited to have the opportunity to be connected with the sisters that I haven't gotten to know.
I'm so excited to know about my siblings. Can't wait to hug them.
I'm feeling emotional about meeting them, but excited.
We have a lifetime of making up to do.
Okay, now, Amanda, you've met Jenny just briefly,
Yes, sir.
but
Just
you've
for a
never
lunch.
met Elizabeth and Marie.
I've never met them.
Elizabeth and Marie, come on out. Good to meet you. How are you? You guys have a seat. What's your reaction to meeting your sister?
She's beautiful.
Just hugging her for the first time, it feels like I've known you all my life.
Really?
Can't wait to really get to know
I
you.
know.
I could see a resemblance for sure.
How do you feel about seeing them finally?
I'm so excited. I just want to go hug them again. Hug them a little more. Maybe just squeeze them there a little bit.
There's another player here, though, that you've met briefly, but you two have not met at all.
Right, correct.
And that's Jenny.
Jenny.
So this will be the first time that all four sisters are in the same room ever in their entire lives. So come on out, Jenny.
This is real.
Let's just stay in here.
So y'all have a seat. Everybody's here. Tell me what's your reaction to meeting these two.
Like the pieces fit. I always felt close to them in a way, but to see them, it makes me happy.
Yeah. So, Elizabeth, why did you think that you were being scammed when you first were reached, when Amanda first contacted you?
I did not know Amanda existed. I got the DNA kit just to see what my pie chart was made of. I wasn't looking for anybody out there. I didn't know she existed, so I thought for sure it was a scam. So I didn't contact her for a long time. Yeah.
And Marie, you always thought you were the oldest, right?
Correct.
And so you've lost that job.
Yep. You can have it.
Yeah. You all now know that you have the same biological father. How do you feel about him?
We've had to learn to live our lives not worrying about his part in it. So
Right.
it's going to be a process to teach ourselves to really dig deep and see how we feel and what he wants from us now.
What goes through your mind when you find out, wow, I have 3 sisters I didn't know I had? Because, I mean, I have 3 sisters,
But
and I know all about them. I've tried to think about what it would be if I discovered later in life that I had 3 sisters that I didn't know about. And it's hard to wrap your head around.
It's hard to explain because, like you said, you can't wrap your head around it because you've always had your sisters. So to know that you didn't have it, you always feel like something's missing.
Yeah, well, here are pictures of all of you as children. This is Amanda here. How old are you there?
oh, maybe I don't know, 3.
Yeah.
Wasn't
okay.
that cute though?
Yeah.
It was really cute.
And then there's Marie and Liz in the middle because you
look
two
like
were together. And here's Jenny
We really
with
do.
a bow in her hair.
Oh,
See, y'all missed this. You didn't play together. You didn't share with each other. You didn't get to see each other grow up. And Jenny, you were the only one who grew up with their dad, but you say he was absent most of the time, right?
Yes.
This is David's history as a father. According to Marie, your question is, why wasn't I good enough reason to stay? I think my dad was horny and stupid. He had no regards for his actions. It could be that way still. even in adulthood. 3 daughters abandoned. I feel very sorry for him, but I don't know why. That's kind of an odd choice. I feel sorry for him, but I don't know why.
I am a mother, and I'm not a perfect mother. And when I make even the smallest mistake, it haunts me, and I want to learn from it and grow from it. So to be his age and look back on this, I do feel bad that he is probably tormented, or I kind of hope he's tormented.
Well, Elizabeth, you said, why didn't he want us? Our dad didn't want us if he signed us over. David left Marie and I high and dry. It was easier for him to live life freely. David called me almost 9 years ago, and I thought we'd have this reunion. A week went by, and he just stopped contact. I know Amanda will get hurt. That's your fear, right?
Yes.
So you think he's going to do the same thing he's done before, and she's going to have expectations that get violated here, and she's going to wind up getting hurt.
Right.
And Jenny, you said that your dad was more absent than anything, and isn't an active part of your life now. You don't really feel like your sister's missed a lot.
I think he wants to love, but I don't know that he knows how to love and to stay around.
So this is about managing expectations, right?
Yes.
So we don't get some kind of pie in the sky anticipation that gets dashed.
Well, and when I first met our dad, I was like that. I was really hopeful that everything was going to be this, great family unit, that we were going to roast marshmallows on Christmas over a fire. Like, those were the dreams I had. And then slowly, it started to be less and less and less.
Well, we've been talking about him. He's here. He is the biological father in this modern family drama. So David's going to sit with all 4 of his daughters for the first time ever on this stage right after the break.
About 8 months ago, I got a call from a girl, and she explained to me that she was my daughter. I was very surprised. I had no idea that Amanda existed. Every day I think about all 4 of my daughters. I've always wondered how they're doing. Are they happy?
I haven't seen David in about 30 years.
At this point, I don't call David my dad. I definitely feel like I missed out and that there's a void from not knowing my biological father.
I do feel like he did abandon us.
I think my dad is ready to make amends for mistakes he's made in the past.
I do have low expectations in reconnecting with my father.
I am worried David will disappoint us again.
My guard is up just because of past disappointments.
Well, Jenny, Amanda, Marie, and Elizabeth say they have a sisterly connection despite being raised in completely different environments. The common denominator for these young women is their dad, David. Take a look.
I have 4 daughters. Currently, none of them are in my life. About 8 months ago, I got a call from a girl, and she explained to me that she was my daughter. I was very surprised. I knew her mother and that we had had relations. I had no idea that Amanda existed. Her mother never told me, and she never told her who her father was. When I met her, I knew she was my child. When I was 17, I had met Marie and Beth's mother. We were just way too young and not ready for a relationship, much less parenthood. It was a rocky marriage. Then she had met somebody else. We got divorced. She got remarried. Marie and Elizabeth's mother pressured me to sign over custody to her and her new husband. And I did it at the time because I was trying to get into the Air Force, and not having dependents was one of the criteria for me to get in. I regret not staying in better contact with them. I love Marie and Beth very much. Several years after I met Jenny's mother, she got pregnant. For most of Jenny's life, I was involved. I was her father. We did everything together. She was Daddy's girl. After 18 years of marriage, got divorced when Jenny was about 12. We've grown apart since then. I haven't seen Jenny in almost 2 years. Every day I think about all 4 of my daughters. I've always wondered how they're doing. Are they happy? People have asked me, why do you want to do, Dr. Phil? I don't so much want to do it as it would be wrong not to do it.
Well, we've got the missing piece of this DNA puzzle, the father of these 4 ladies. So come on out, David. David, how are you, sir?
Hey, Dr. Phil, good to meet you.
You've met and or been around, to some degree or another, all 4 of
Yes.
your daughters.
Yes, sir.
What'd you think when you found out about Amanda?
I could always use somebody that loves me.
Were you totally shocked? Or
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was.
You
I
had no idea.
No, no, sir.
But you obviously had a relationship with her mother to some degree.
Relation. One time. I know that's all it takes, but
How long did you know her?
she was in the same high school with me.
And she never told you that she was
No. No, I had no idea.
with child? She never said anything?
No.
She's been jerked around a lot. At least she can be given the truth.
Yeah.
You know yourself better than anybody else. What should she expect from you?
I love all of my girls. I need to find a way to connect with all of them and let them know I'm here and I love them and think about them every day.
What I'm concerned about is how everybody affects everybody, and I think the best predictor of future behavior is relevant past behavior. And we ask you, David, what kept you from being more active in your children's lives? And you said, well, you signed over custody of Elizabeth and Marie because it was required by the Air Force to have no dependents to enlist. Really?
In my case, I could not have any dependents.
Wow.
Yeah.
It wasn't my choice to be apart from Marie and Elizabeth. Elizabeth, Marie's mom, moved away and cut off contact. You said, you know, it's easier to forget and move on.
Their mother had remarried and it seemed like they had I didn't want to intrude on their life.
Jenny pushed me away. Jenny asked to call ahead if I were seeing grandbabies. Wasn't about to make an appointment. So you're actually kind of a victim in all this.
I'm not trying to come across as a victim, right or wrong. It's just.
What do y'all think about what's being said?
I just remember waiting, and I understand that we never got to hear your side of the story, but it doesn't stop little girls from wondering where they're dead.
I know, baby. Thank you so much. I'm sorry. I think.
What's your thought?
I'm honestly here to meet my sisters. I'm not interested in a relationship. I feel like that second chance was given and blown, and I'm honestly done.
Well, you know, I asked you when you came out what you thought about her finally 13 years one way, 20 years another, and finally getting the answer. And I found your response very interesting. You said, well, I can always use somebody else to love me. It was all about you. I'll ask it again. How do you feel about the fact that after spending all of that time, 33 years living a lie, and then finally finding out the truth, how do you feel about that for her? I'll ask it again. How do you feel about the fact that after spending all of that time, 33 years living a lie, and then finally finding out the truth, how do you feel about that for her?
I'm sorry if it came across that way. It's not the way I feel in my heart. I was only saying that when she called me, because I knew nothing about it, that I wasn't suspicious or thinking she was gold digging, bless her heart if she was, but that I was open to her.
Yeah, I get that. That's still about you. I'm asking, what do you think about her?
I'm your dad, and I love you, and I'm sorry. I want to take this chance with Dr. Phil's help and guidance to just go on from here and to build a relationship, or at least a way to each other's heart.
What are you thinking as you're hearing all of this?
I love my dad. I'm listening to the words. And I know I was grown coming in to this family. And I have 3 children of my own. And I would walk through fire for them. There's nothing they could do to make me not be there. I don't care how old they are.
Well, here's what I say to all of you. I wrote a book a few years ago called Life Code, and there's a section in it that I devoted to benefit of the doubt. Okay? And I don't know about you guys, but I was just raised in middle America in a hellfire and brimstone Baptist church, and they taught us you're supposed to look for the good in people. To me, that is an absolute higher form of insanity to give people the benefit of the doubt. Why would you do that? You said when the phone first rang, you thought, am I being scammed here? Good question.
Right.
I mean, really good question in this day and time, because about every third time your phone rings, it is a scam. What you have to do is go into a situation with your eyes open and start gathering data until you have enough information to make an informed decision. Now, I know more about the 4 of you than you know about each other.
You do. You do.
Because we've done a lot of digging.
It's a bit scary.
Yeah, it should be.
A little bit.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you what I found out when we come back. All right, before we get back to today's program, I want to tell you about what we have coming up on Wednesday. It is a serious situation centered around a troubled and very violent young man. He's only 11 years old. His name is JJ. Now, his school has had to implement an entire safety plan because he threatened to kill a student. He threatened his mother's life with a steak knife. And that's not all. He's run away for days at a time and posted photos of himself on Snapchat smoking weed and holding like a .357 Magnum. And remember, he's only 11 years old. Take a look.
My son JJ is out of control. When JJ gets angry, it's like a dog that's backed into a corner. He's thrown his bed across the room.
Knife mark, knife mark. Those are also knife marks as well.
There's nothing that he won't destroy.
I do want to control my anger, but I can't.
Yeah, you can see this is way out of control. Mom has no idea what to do. And by the way, you did hear a dog in there, and make no mistake, I dealt with that too. That's Wednesday. You do not want to miss it. Okay, let's get back to this family.
I'm really excited to learn what similarities my sisters and I may have. The whole nurture versus nature debate rages on. The first time I talked to Amanda via text, we were sending each other pictures of our homes. There were so many similarities that blew my mind. We both had cupcake liners that were red with white polka dots. Just a random little detail that endeared me to her.
I found that music is a wonderful outlet for all of us, and that's something our dad enjoys as well.
When Jenny and I had lunch together, we thought it was hilarious that we both ordered the same thing off the menu.
I'm excited to see if we look alike, and our kids too, see if they look alike. They're cousins, so it's exciting.
Well, Jenny, Amanda, Marie, and Elizabeth say they're all interested in maintaining a sisterly connection that goes deeper than DNA, because I've said, as adults, when you meet, it doesn't matter if you're twins, you're going to build a relationship based on the effort that you put in. You 4 women have, despite some hiccups in your family history, are kind of statistical anomalies, because the 4 of you have done an amazing job in your lives of being very healthy and functional and family-oriented. You're meeting these three, and I can tell you based on what I know, you would be blessed to have any of these three women active in your life. And I can tell you three would be blessed to have this woman in your life. You're all in healthy relationships. You're all functional, contributing members of society, and you've done well. David, you have a bit more of a spotty history, but I have to say, there's certainly been nothing there that is horrific or that would tell me that these women should be afraid of you as a criminal or a felon or someone that you should run from. That's just simply not true. But it's all about managing your expectations. The four of you can certainly be a support system for one another and can have a wonderful time teaching each other about things that you've missed in each other's lives and filling in some blanks that have probably left some real empty holes in your lives. And then what do you do with old dad here? I'm going to tell you what I think you should do right after the break. Now, I believe that I'm all about the unification of family. The biggest plus that I put in David's column is he's here. He's here today. He didn't have to be here. You got to give him credit for that. And I think that he also has indicated a willingness to work going forward to try and create an adult parent-child relationship with anybody that wants to work on that. And here's what you do, in my opinion. You take this a step at a time. And what I mean by that in a real world sense is, have lunch with your dad. You want to get to know each other a step at a time and see if there are things that you can learn and resolve. And I say to the four of you, you have a real hunger to get to know each other, and that's great, and I say pursue that. Respect that each other have lives that have been put together without y'all in it, and so it's going to be a change if you get there, and maybe you can get together at the holidays, maybe you can pick a time because you're all kind of scattered and you come together and spend time, and I would recommend you do that in short bursts to begin with as well. David, I really hope that you recognize this as an opportunity to mend some fences and prioritize some things that are important.
I do. To have a starting place is all I ask.
I wrote another book called Relationship Rescue, and it was written for married couples, but it will tell you some things to ask about each other, and you'll close a lot of information gaps in a short period of time. And so I'm going to give you all copies of that so you can get it and learn on each other. Coming up, have you ever looked around at others and felt not normal or questioned really what normal even is? Well, we'll meet a young woman asking that exact question right after the break. My guest, Anne Marie, is a 22-year-old woman that graduated from the University of Central Missouri studying journalism, and she also happens to have Down syndrome. Her journey of self-discovery was the subject of a powerful documentary titled Normie. Take a look.
Seeing who I am and that I have Down syndrome, and I hate every time I see it. How to spell composition?
I don't understand.
I would love nothing more than you to have what you want. You're an adult now.
That's my greatest fear with Palmer, that she will desire to be a mom. That might not be what's best for her.
Do you know that I'm fighting aloneness?
Yes.
I hate being alone. Why is that? Give Palmer time to process things.
You can hold Palmer whenever you want.
It doesn't matter what people say about you. You are amazing.
Please welcome Anne-Marie Kerrigan, as well as the filmmaker and the creator of Normie, Kurt Neal. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you.
Well, Anne-Marie, let me start with you. What made you want to participate in the movie?
A family friend of mine, Kurt Neal, he actually taught me to speak up, and during this film, able for me to speak up.
Right. And Kurt, what inspired you to make Normie? I mean, this is a really great project.
As Anne-Marie said, we've been friends for a long time. And this idea of Anne-Marie being honest about how she's lonely and that she fiercely wants to be loved and accepted for who she is. And that kind of birthed this idea of let's explore what it means to be normal and this illusion that we're all dealing with of trying to be something to give us value. And I think Anne-Marie demonstrates that she has a value well beyond, she's very capable, but she has a value way beyond that.
What do you hope viewers will take away from watching Normie, from watching you and your journey in this film?
I hope people will have the encourage to speak up, because we have the courage to speak up. We can able to make a difference. And that's what I really, really want the viewers to come across, that I am just me who I am, but able to speak up.
So what's the response been to the film?
We've been really kind of shocked by it, that people talk about the authenticity of the film. Of course, Anne-Marie and her candor about opening up, being vulnerable when it relates to things of the heart, soul, and mind in a way that's, I think it draws people to look at their own life, which is what we're really after.
How has your life changed since the film has come out?
So I get to experience everything and exposing every aspect of my life. It's just very comforting knowing that the truth is all out there. And it's one of the greatest journeys in my entire life.
Right. Well, you're kind of a movie star now, so I mean, people are recognizing you, and is that fun for you?
It is definitely fun.
And you handling it okay?
Definitely.
Don't be a diva on us now.
Yeah.
You got to keep your feet on the ground.
Yes.
But I'm really proud of both of you for this, and I hope that it continues to have more and more success. People know the truth when they hear it, and when you speak with the candor and heart that you do, that resonates with people, and it challenges them and inspires them to do the same thing in their own life. So you're changing lives, and not just your own. So, okay, I'd like to thank all of my guests today, and a special thanks to Kurt Neal and Anne-Marie Kerrigan. If you'd like to find out more about Normie, go to drphil.com, and we'll link to their site and social media. And before I go, I wanted to share a tweet received from Caitlin Vives. They wrote, Dr. Phil is actually short for Dr. Philosophy. Oh, monocle emoji. Well, you're welcome. So Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, and Dr. Phil. Yeah, right. I love hearing from you on social media, so keep those comments coming. We'll see you next time.
The following episode contains graphic discussions about a criminal case. Viewer discretion advised. Today on an all-new Dr. Phil. Outrageous sentences?
This is a kid who left her for garbage, and 6 months for that harm is ridiculous.
A judge defends Brock Turner's time.
The sentence he imposed was absolutely appropriate.
Plus, a former judge who gave 0 jail time to a man who assaulted a helpless female.
If I had it to do all over again, my decision would be the same.
It is outrageous given the nature of the crime. Today's going to be a changing day in your life. You've never had anybody working harder to bring you to the threshold of change than right now. upheld as the most revered moral arbiters in our society, sentencing people to jail, to prison, sometimes even to death. They swear solemn oaths to administer blind justice regardless of color, creed, race, or health. So help them God. I'm talking about judges. But with more and more reports of rapists walking free, victims claiming they are the ones serving life sentences, and judges being run out of court by the people who voted them in, I just decided it was time to take a closer look at our justice system.
A man accused of trying to rape a student at the University of Florida released from jail. The reason the judge did it has people outraged.
A judge releasing him on a no-cost bail because of his school obligations, and at the time, a hurricane was coming.
Now the outrage from people all across the country after a doctor was convicted of raping a patient and then sentenced only to probation.
A former bus driver who admitted to raping a 14-year-old girl won't get prison time.
Nothing in recent memory has touched a nerve here at Stanford quite like the Brock Turner case.
The victim in the Stanford rape case has revealed who she is. Her name is Chanel Miller. It was in 2015 that Miller's case made headlines when she was raped by Stanford student Brock Turner.
Brock Turner was sentenced to roughly 6 months in the county jail, but will almost certainly be released after serving just 3 months.
I think everyone would probably agree that the way that this case was handled was just an injustice.
The judge, you believe, extended empathy to him and sentenced him to 6 months. What do you think should have been the fair sentence?
I think it should have been proportional to the harm. I also know that there are young men of color serving far longer sentences for nonviolent crimes.
Did you have a number in mind or a sentencing in mind? Did you?
At least 1 year. We had spent 18 months just getting to that point, just for it to go to 3 months.
The Santa Clara County Superior Court judge was recalled by voters when he sentenced Brock Turner. Judge Aaron Persky is only the 4th judge in California history to be recalled by voters and the first in some 86 years.
Well, hands down, this was one of the most controversial decisions of its kind, that concerning Brock Turner, the Stanford athlete convicted of sexually assaulting Chanel Miller and leaving her unconscious behind a dumpster. Now, this case was so controversial, it wasn't just the defendant on trial. The judge, Michael Aaron Persky, was on trial too. And one woman, a former Superior Court judge herself, is, despite a staggering national outcry, standing by him. Take a look.
I do feel that an injustice has been done to Brock Turner. I think what Judge Persky did was absolutely appropriate. The judge imposed a sentence by following the recommendation made by the probation officer. The judge followed the recommendation of a moderate sentence and imposed a 6-month jail sentence. He also did a lot more. He imposed a fine. He required Brock Turner to undergo anger management classes, and he required Brock Turner to register as a sex offender for the rest of his life. This young man wears a scarlet letter for the rest of his life. That's anything but lenient. I believe the sentence was absolutely appropriate. I would absolutely have done the same thing if I had presided over that case. Judge Persky has been on the bench for 14 years, and not once has he ever been found to have engaged in bias or misconduct. Please vote no on the recall of Judge Persky. I opposed the recall because I believe Judge Aaron Persky was unfairly targeted, and secondly, because this recall was a real threat to the independence of the judiciary. Why have we lost this whole concern that we should have as a society for redemption? I've heard people say that those who have been convicted of murder, who go to prison, get out, they have a right now to redeem themselves. But I haven't heard that for Brock Turner.
Well, please welcome retired Superior Court Judge Cordell and former District Attorney Michael Kraut, who believes that the Brock Turner sentencing was an outrage. Now, joining us live from Boston via satellite is former prosecutor and law lecturer Wendy Murphy. So, Wendy, thank you as well. Guys, thanks for being here. Why do you say this was a reasonable sentence and penalty for this young man?
I say it's reasonable because judges have to take into consideration a number of factors. That is the victim, the defendant, the circumstances of the crime. I believe that the sentence he imposed was absolutely appropriate, and he isn't the only one. In California, when you're convicted of a felony, the probation department is required to prepare a report, to look at the entire offense, and to recommend a sentence.
But it is just a recommendation.
Absolutely.
The decision is with the judge.
You're right. This was a probation recommendation for a moderate jail sentence, which the judge chose to follow. And I think it was appropriate.
Well, here was the sentence. He was convicted of assault with intent to rape an intoxicated woman, sexually penetrating an intoxicated woman with a foreign object, sexually penetrating an unconscious person. And the sentence was 6 months in county jail, 3 years probation, lifetime on the sex offender registry, mandatory sex offender rehabilitation. Now, he could have gotten 3, 6, or 8 years under the law, correct, Michael?
That's correct.
Why not? Why not give him more than 6 months in jail, which is going to be with good time 3 months, so in 12 weeks, he's out?
What we have here is a case in which he left her unconscious after sexually assaulting her, and the only reason this individual is being treated differently is because he's white and he's from Stanford. There's no other clear-cut reason.
See, that's just not true, and that's not based on fact.
Wendy, respond to this, if you will. He got certainly a moderate or light sentence compared to what is available under the law, but yet he was assigned a third-degree category on the sex offender registry, which is severe.
It's an important observation. You cannot have it both ways. This was either a severe crime, which is why he's a level 3, or it was equivalent of shoplifting, which is why he got 3 months. When you are the judge, you uphold the Constitution first. You do equal justice under the law. You make sure the punishment fits the crime. He didn't do any of those things in this case. When you rape and brutalize in a sexual way a completely defenseless, unconscious woman, when you give that guy a slap on the wrist, you have declared yourself unfit to serve on the bench.
Brock Turner was very clearly treated differently. He was a star athlete than anybody else. Anybody else under these circumstances. This wasn't people get on a second
say that.
On a second time DUI, people get 6 months.
You have never done a survey of how defendants are treated. And by the way, and you know in sentencing, you know very well, each case is different.
I've lived in the criminal justice system.
As have I.
For 15 years as a prosecutor, now 11 years as a defense attorney. For 26 years, I have never seen anything like this before. This isn't a kid who went shoplifting. This isn't a kid who stole someone's car in the neighborhood. This is a kid who violated a human being, left her for garbage on the side next to a dumpster or in an alley, whichever one you want to deal with, and harmed her for good. And 6 months for that harm is ridiculous.
You know, I'm not trying to trivialize at all the crimes of which Brock Turner was convicted. Not at all. What I'm trying to get people to understand is that this isn't a system where victims get to decide what happens to defendants.
Okay, up next, we're going to meet a former judge who, like Aaron Persky, lost his livelihood when he gave 0 jail time to a man who strangled a helpless female. We'll be right back.
34-year-old Justin Schneider strangled a woman until she was unconscious.
The no jail time arrangement sparked anger and cost the presiding judge his seat on the bench.
I absolutely did my job by following the law of the state of Alaska. If I had it to do all over again, my decision would be the same.
A group of Alaska residents are trying to take a judge off the bench after a controversial sentence. 34-year-old Justin Schneider strangled a woman until she was unconscious and then masturbated on her. Schneider accepted a plea deal last week, which includes no additional jail time. It also credited him for the year he spent at home with an ankle monitor while the case was pending.
The no jail time arrangement sparked anger and outrage across the nation and cost the presiding judge his seat on the bench.
Well, today we're talking about really disturbing crimes with lenient sentences. that have the public outraged. Now, the judge you just saw in that tape piece lost his seat after giving 0 jail time to a man who strangled and assaulted a woman. That judge is here today. Take a look.
My name is Michael Corey. I presided over the case that involved Justin Schneider. What far too many people didn't understand is that his conduct with respect to that victim in the state of Alaska was not considered a sexual assault because what he did not constitute sexual contact. Mr. Schneider ejaculated on the defendant. I absolutely did my job by following the law of the state of Alaska. One needs to understand that this was not an open sentencing. This was a plea bargain. This sentence was not my idea. I knew that this didn't feel right. I really felt like I was strapped to a locomotive going off a cliff. I had to follow the law. Mr. Schneider was sentenced to 2 years, the maximum sentence that he could receive for that offense. One of those years was suspended. The other year, he had effectively already served on ankle monitoring. Consequently, he walked out of the courtroom a free man, much to the chagrin of everyone, including myself. The majority of the voters in Alaska decided that I would not be retained for another term, and so I stepped away. If I had it to do all over again, my decision would be the same.
Okay, please welcome retired Superior Court Judge Michael Corey. Thank you so much for being here. You met Michael and Judge Cordell. Wendy Murphy is with us via satellite, and she'll be weighing in. Judge, you said that you wished that you could have done more, but that you couldn't.
Well, the law didn't allow it. It was a B felony. B felonies are punishable by 0 to 10 years. Mr. Schneider had no prior felonies, so he was presumptive 0 to 2 years. And without the state pursuing aggravators, there was no way to go above the 2 years.
So based on the nature of the offender and the offense, there's a cap to what the court is allowed to give. So you didn't have the option to give this person 10 years.
Exactly.
Now, also, in your defense, and people don't understand, what he did, he ejaculated on her, that is not considered a sex crime in Alaska.
It was not at the time.
That's called harassment.
That's correct. And he was charged. And that's what he was charged with.
It allowed for 2 years. 1 year was ankle monitor at home.
That's correct.
There was another year available that could be given. You suspended that year.
That's correct. Well, yes, I implemented a sentence that was the result of a plea bargain. This plea bargain was not my idea.
Okay, but wait a minute. This is where you lose me. You do have the right to reject the plea bargain. Don't tell me you don't, because you do.
Well, absolutely. And then it goes to the Court of Appeals and it gets reversed and it comes right back. What I'd like to know, if somebody disagrees with that, what would be the basis upon which to legitimately reject that plea bargain?
It is outrageous given the nature of the crime.
There's so much wrong with what Judge Corey is saying. And in a case like this, your job should have been to say, I'm horrified that the prosecution dropped some of the important charges here. I'm horrified that my hands are tied with no more than 2 years. And in order for me to do my job, which is to respect the integrity of this woman's life and the horrifying nature of this crime and the public's interest in making sure this doesn't happen again, I have to send a message. And all I have is 2 years maximum to send that message. I'm giving him 2 years, period. That's what you should have done, Judge Corey, and you didn't do it.
I understand the narrative that you're putting forward, when you put it that way, sounds horrible, but that comes from a person who just doesn't understand the situation.
If you felt that strongly about it, you could have rejected the plea bargain, correct?
No.
Well, that's a question.
No. The answer is there was no legitimate basis upon which to reject that plea bargain.
And then you put your rubber stamp on it.
No, well, if you want to take the narrative anyway, if you want to choose to define it the way you happen to believe it should be, I'm never going to change your mind.
I'm a defense attorney now. I live for judges who make mistakes or do what you do.
Is it your position and belief, and the position and belief from which you acted, that you did not have the basis to reject this plea bargain?
That's absolutely correct.
Okay, that's what I want to understand. And therefore, you you had to accept the plea bargain and implement those terms and conditions.
That's exactly right. And even if
so, this to you is a legislative issue, not a judicial issue. This is the mandate you're given, and if you're going to follow the law, then you did what you had to do.
Exactly.
Okay, and I want people to understand your position, your values, just as a human being, is you believe this was an egregious crime and that this guy was a bad actor.
Absolutely. And in this case, even if individuals were right, even if they think that I could have said, well, you know what, I'm going to reject this. Here's the problem. I reject it, it goes to trial, and this individual never gets more than 2 years, never gets more than 2 years on the crime that the state was pursuing, and never, ever has to be subjected to sex offender conditions of probation. Wouldn't have had probation. This way, the state gets to look at him for 3 additional years, and he has certain compliance issues with sex offender conditions of probation.
Leslie, we have to take a break. Up next, we meet a rape victim and her mother who are still reeling from a judge's sentencing they say is nothing short of an insult. We'll be right back.
The former Niagara Wheatfield High School student who admitted to raping another student back in court.
It was approximately 2 days after the rape when I saw Eli in school. Every day, the bell would ring and we would walk out and he'd just be staring right at me.
The rapist got a timeout and my daughter got a life sentence.
Our top story tonight takes us to the case that led to student protests outside Niagara Wheatfield High School.
19-year-old Elias Dowdy was 3 days from turning 18 when he raped the girl.
The former Niagara Wheatfield High School student who admitted to raping another student back in court. That's where the victim's mother made an emotional plea to the judge.
He has taken away so much for her that she may never get back.
The teenager was placed on 1 year of interim probation.
My client has lived up to the end of his bargain, and if he could take this back, he would.
Well, it's every mother's worst nightmare finding out that your daughter has been raped. But imagine the horror of having to sit in the same classroom as your rapist and eventually watch him walk out of court with 0 jail time. Take a look.
My daughter Taylor was a junior in high school when the rape occurred. My daughter's rapist's name is Elias Dowdy.
I didn't really know Eli at all before the rape had happened. He invited me to his house after school. I went to Eli's house around 4 or 5 o'clock. I went upstairs to his room. That's when the rape had occurred. I was actually pushing him off of me, fighting him, trying to get him off, yelling no. He just wouldn't listen. I eventually did get out of the room.
Even though Eli was arrested for raping my daughter, he was still allowed to go back to school that fall.
It was approximately 2 days after the rape when I saw Eli in school. Every day, the bell would ring and we would walk out and he'd just be staring right at me.
Taylor was bullied by her peers. One of the students actually took a photo of him and captioned it, "Your boyfriend." I met with the principal. I had a copy of the order of protection, and he told me that Eli was entitled to an education.
I spent all my senior year seeing my rapist every day, and nothing was ever done. It hurt knowing that he was living his best life and I was living in a dark hole. I think they protected Eli because he was the star athlete.
It was a little over a year after Eli raped my daughter when he was finally sentenced. The judge gave Eli 1 year of interim probation, no prison time, no sex offender registry. How do you rape somebody and just walk away with a slap on the wrist?
I want Eli to know that he took something from me that I will never get back.
The rapist got a timeout, and my daughter got a life sentence.
Well, thank you for being here. You say your daughter got a life sentence and the rapist got a timeout here. And the school allowed this young man to walk into the school with your daughter.
Yes, they did. They did.
And they knew what was going on.
I was assured that they were going to keep him away from her. All school year, they were not going to be in close proximity to each other, and that they would protect her. That principal placed her in in-school suspension to keep her safe. Let's not put the rapist in school suspension. Let's put the victim in, keeping her out of her classes, taking her out of instruction, and letting her sit there all day.
Well, here's an example of a social media post from a relative of Elias Dowdy posted on social media after Dowdy pled guilty to raping Taylor. That girl had the right to say no. It was consensual, but they're making him out to be a monster. All of them people need to take a nosedive off a bridge.
That's a post from social media that I showed the judge.
And at sentencing, the judge said, you need to put a muzzle on your family and friends. You need to tell them the truth, that it wasn't consensual. Quite frankly, if I sentenced you today, I would deny you youthful offender status.
Then why didn't she sentence him that day? I don't understand. I do not understand how the judge could say those words and not just sentence him that day. It doesn't make any sense.
Unless those were the terms of the plea bargain. After he completes this 1 year, and let's say he does it in a satisfactory fashion, then the judge has a discretion to say, you know what? I'm going to treat you as a minor and not as an adult. And if the judge were to do that, it's likely he would not have to register. It might not be what you want, but it is lawful.
We're talking about rapists that get 3 months, no time, walking out, but then these young men of color are in for life. While we're taking a quick break, I want to tell you about a show coming up Thursday. We're talking to a daughter who has really spiraled out of control. I mean, she has become a homeless hoarder. Among other things, she hoards her hair. Now, that is all according to her mother. Take a look.
My 23-year-old daughter, Christy, has unsanitary habits. She refuses to bathe herself or wash her hair. I don't even think she's taken a normal shower since 2016.
You can smell her from 20 feet away. I can't even hug her when I see her. It makes me want to throw up.
She has an obsession with her hair. She collects it. I think she hoards her hair.
I like my hair this way. I like my clothes this way. So it's kind of like, you know, Mom, like, back off a little bit.
So set your DVR, because you don't want to miss a bit of that. That's Thursday. Okay, back to this show. Well, I'm having an in-depth discussion today about lenient sentences that some people feel are just discretionary, that judges are giving out because of what their personal values are. I think we're learning a lot about that today. Sometimes things don't happen for the apparent reasons.
What I guess I don't get, Dr. Phil, is why people aren't as upset about the real harsh, severe sentences that are imposed particularly on young men of color, where they're sent away for life and nobody gets upset.
I pulled a few examples of just exactly that. Michael Fitzgerald Wilson, in 1994, was sentenced to life without parole as a first-time non-violent drug offender in California. 1997, Donald Allen was just 20 years old when he was sentenced to 2 life without parole sentences for conviction on conspiracy and possession charges in Florida. 2 life sentences. 2018, Dayon Davis was sentenced to 5 years in prison and 10 years probation for stealing a pair of black and white Nike Air Jordan 5s from a buddy. The shoes were valued at $180. He's doing 5 years in prison and 10 years probation. These are all young men of color, and what we're talking about here with rapists that get 3 months, no time, walking out, but then these young men of color are in for life. It's outrageous, absolutely outrageous.
And yet,
those are examples of which I could give you 10 more.
Absolutely.
But those are pretty good examples.
Yeah, but we don't hear the public outcry. We don't hear Professor Murphy saying, you know, what's the deal with those judges?
Why are these young men being sentenced
no, you
away?
don't.
We don't hear that.
Go ahead, Mindy.
I want to be clear. We are on the same page, Judge. I am absolutely speaking out when I see disproportionate numbers of black men behind bars for drug offenses. That is just as offensive, constitutionally and otherwise, as giving no jail time for these horrendous rapists we've been talking about
Judge,
today.
there certainly needs to be an adjustment in the value system, and Taylor is a perfect example of it, letting her perpetrator walk into the school with her, come out of a classroom right across from her. I'm very sorry that you had to contend with that. It's enough to go through what you went through and then have to then contend with that perpetrator again is absolutely unfair to you. It's unfair to you mentally, emotionally, psychologically, behaviorally. It just kind of reopens the wound all over again. Now, we reached out to Niagara Wheatfield High School, the superintendent, Daniel Lelanich, for a statement, but we have not received a comment as of this taping. Okay, imagine the horror. A 16-year-old films a sexual assault, shares it with his friends, adding the caption, "When your first time having sex is rape." That actually happened, and you won't believe what one judge had to say about it. That's next. In the case you're about to see, Judge James Troiano was forced to resign after he made comments in defense of a 16-year-old boy who allegedly raped a near unconscious girl, filmed it, shared it with his buddies with the caption, "When your first time having sex is rape." Take a look.
A New Jersey judge faces calls for his removal amid nationwide outrage over the way he handled a rape case. The alleged assault was captured on cell phone video, but the judge declined prosecutors' request to charge this 16-year-old suspect as an adult, in part because the judge says this teenager came from, in his words, a good family.
Prosecutors said the teen shared video of the alleged incident and texted friends saying when your first time having sex was rape.
Statements like this that favor accused perpetrators really depress victims' willingness to come forward.
Well, I would like to introduce one of the leading criminal defense and trial attorneys in New Jersey, Lee Vartan, who is joining us via Polycom. Lee, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Phil.
Let's talk about this case here because it seems cavalier, it seems reckless, it seems misogynistic. I don't get it.
The judge was not imposing sentence here. What the judge was doing, and this was pursuant to New Jersey statute, was reviewing the decision by the prosecutor whether or not this particular defendant, who happened to be a juvenile, he was 16 at the time, was properly waived to adult criminal court.
Well, let's take a look at what he had to say when he weighed in on that. Quote, "This young man comes from a good family who put him into an excellent school where he was doing extremely well. He is clearly a candidate for not just college, but probably a good college. His scores for college entry were very high." The judge also detailed GMC's extracurricular activities, including being an Eagle Scout.
The judge superseded, essentially, and imposed his view of the world. And not only did he impose his view of the world, but he wasn't really looking at whether the prosecutor abused her discretion, which is what he's supposed to do.
This judge gives judges a bad name. I mean,
Yes.
There's no excuse. He should never be on the bench ever again. This was appalling. And when we get judges like this, should never wear the robe. And I hope never again will.
Yeah, and I just want to say, Judge Corey, this is why you're saying judges shouldn't be injecting themselves or their own thoughts. They just follow the law and keep their opinions to themselves.
Absolutely.
This year's college admission scandal gave Hollywood actor Felicity Huffman a ton of free publicity for all the wrong reasons. When we come back, we're going to meet a woman who says Huffman's 2-week sentence is a joke compared to the sentencing she received. We'll look at that after the break.
Actress Felicity Huffman gets 14 days in prison and becomes the first parent to face sentencing in the college admission scandal.
What this story is for so many people is that if you are rich, you don't have to do the time.
Actress Felicity Huffman gets 14 days in prison and becomes the first parent to face sentencing in the college admission scandal.
Also arrested on the same charges, actress Lori Loughlin and her husband, famed designer Massimo Giannulli. They are among 50 people who are accused of participating in a nationwide conspiracy that allowed their children to get into major colleges illegally.
What are they going to say? We thought this was okay. We thought this is the way you do it. Well, where does that leave middle class and poor people?
What this story is for so many people is that if you are rich, you don't have to do the time.
Well, the college admission scandal dominated the headlines this year. Stephanie is a current USC student. What's your thought about this?
I got rejected from USC 2 times, and it wasn't until my 3rd year applying that I finally got accepted. So when I heard about this situation, it was my 1st year attending USC, so it was so frustrating to see somebody else buy their way in when I worked so hard to earn this. And it almost devalues my degree because it takes all of my effort. It feels like it's devalued by someone that just received what I've been working so hard to earn.
My next guest says her criminal past came back to haunt her after social media resurrected her own national news story and compared her to actor Felicity Huffman. Take a look at this.
A Connecticut mother arrested, now facing 20 years in prison. Tanya McDowell uses a friend's address, enrolls her 6-year-old son, AJ, into Brookside Elementary School. She says the Connecticut School District found out and kicked the boy out. But she says her only crime is wanting a better education for her son.
About 9 years ago, my son AJ was excelling at a higher level than the other kids in his class. And instantly, I found a school that was close to my best friend's house, and I used her address to enroll AJ in school. About 6 months later, I got a call from the police. They placed me in handcuffs and told me I was under arrest for stealing an education. I would never have done something like that if I knew it was a crime.
Now, mom is accused of stealing his education, and she's facing serious charges, larceny. She can even be forced to pay $15,000.
The newspaper published a story. About a month after I went to the press, a girl and a guy came up to me asking me where they could find some stuff because they wanted to party. And I gave her the phone number, and they went out and bought some drugs. Because of what I did, I was arrested again, this time for selling narcotics. I strongly believe that the police set me up because I wouldn't stay out of the media. I was charged with larceny and the sale of drugs. I was sentenced to 12-year prison. When the judge read that sentence, I just felt like the system failed. News reports started to come out comparing my case to Felicity Huffman. She has money and she bribes people. She got days and I got years. It's disgusting.
Please welcome Tanya McDowell and her former attorney, Darnell Crossland. Thank you both for being here. 14 days versus 12 years, and there were some drug charges involved here. This was a stretch.
Yes, indeed. At that time, she was living at the homeless shelter in Norwalk, and her only concern was taking care of her child. After she got arrested for that, as she explained to you, the setup came. Undercover cops, that is, were coming around the shelter asking her, where can they find this? Like she was a tour guide to the streets, and she came on a lot of scrutiny with these so-called drug charges.
I'm sorry. This is outrageous. You are exactly right. You spent 2 years and 10 months in jail.
Yes, I did.
We fought them tooth and nail, and now it's no longer, it's decriminalized. So if your kid is in a school that the kid doesn't belong in, all you have to do is just enroll the child. The judge ruled that her probation is to be terminated and that the restitution is to be forgiven. So we made some compromise.
All right, the nation was shocked this summer when a judge gave 0 jail time to a woman who buried her own baby in her backyard. We'll look at that next. Now, one of the most disturbing crimes of 2019 centered around Brooke Skylar Richardson, who at the age of 17 gave birth to a baby she says was stillborn, and then she buried it in her backyard and received 0 jail time.
Tonight, 18-year-old Skylar Richardson is charged with reckless homicide.
The prosecutor says Brooke Richardson's baby was born alive and that she gave birth in the family home and then killed her baby.
2 days after Skylar Richardson told a gynecologist that she gave birth to a stillborn baby, she was in an interrogation room at the Carlisle Police Department being interviewed by detectives.
Tell us what's going on. I tried to cremate the baby just a little. You tried to cremate the baby?
After getting a tip, investigators found the remains burned and buried behind the family's Carlisle home. The 18-year-old now faces several charges, including aggravated murder.
Skylar Richardson is out of jail tonight.
Skylar was found not guilty of the most serious charge and sentenced to time served for abuse of a corpse.
Richardson got 3 years probation and a stern talking to from Judge Oda.
I know in my heart that if you would have made different decisions, Annabelle would be here today.
Wendy, let me ask you about this case.
To characterize this case as worthy of a slap on the wrist, I think, is dangerous. It's not just insulting as a moral matter, it's dangerous.
It is really inappropriate for us to then say, oh, you know, that was just way out of line. This judge heard everything and gave his reasoning in public. So there's no secret. You can understand what his reasoning and what his thought process was.
It's easy to sit in chairs when you're not in the crucible making the decision. It's quite another when you're actually there in the gravity of the moment and you have to make the call.
There's no question about that, and people don't have all the facts that are in court, and sometimes the jury doesn't have all the facts that the rest of the world does.
That's true.
That's a two-way street, my friend.
Yes, sir.
I want to thank all of my guests today. A special thanks to former District Attorney Michael Kraut, former Superior Court Judge Michael Corey, Judge Cordell, thank you so much for being here as well. Attorney Wendy Murphy, thank you so much for being here. Darnell, thank you for being here. We really appreciate you coming and weighing in on this. For more information about today's show, we want you to log on to drphil.com. You can check me out on my social media where we're going to be discussing this. I saw something on my Instagram the other day that made me smile. Princess Charlotte says, Dr. Phil, you'd make a great judge. Just saying. No, I'll leave that to the others, but thanks for your comment. We'll see you next time. Harder to bring you to the threshold of change than right now. More than 550,000 people experience homelessness on a typical night. Now, Chrissy says she has been homeless for 3 years, and everything she owns, and I mean everything, is in these bags. Now, her parents, Monique and Sanjay, say their 23-year-old daughter has drastically changed from a hardworking, meticulous, girly girl to a violent, entitled couch surfer who doesn't bathe, hoards her fallen hair in plastic sandwich bags, and stores fast food wrappers, used paper plates, cups, and even soiled wipes in her bags as she roams around from place to place. Take a look.
My 23-year-old daughter, Chrissy, is not a functional, normal person.
For the last 3 years, Chrissy has become someone I do not recognize.
She has unsanitary habits. She refuses to bathe herself or wash her hair. I don't even think she's taken a normal shower since 2016. Now her idea of showering is wiping herself with baby wipes.
You can smell her from 20 feet away. I can't even hug her when I see her. It makes me want to throw up.
Other than the hygiene issues, she has an obsession with her hair. She collects it. I think she hoards her hair. She has to check everything for hair, from dirt, trash on the floor, her sanitary pads. She felt like if she put it back on her head, it would stay on her longer.
At one point, Chrissy wanted to be a model. Now she looks like a homeless person.
Chrissy started meeting strangers on social media so that she could live at their houses.
Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. It really just depends on the friend.
I would say she stayed with about 100 people within the past 2 years.
Every day I fear that I'm going to get a terrible phone call. Either she could be kidnapped, raped, or she could be killed.
All she lives for day to day is checking her updates on her social media, and she goes through all of her items that she carries around in her bags.
This is like one of my main bags. I have all this, my clothes, shoes, accessories, makeup, hair detangler that my mom bought me.
She won't let anyone touch her belongings. I've seen what's in her bags. It looks like a big garbage dump.
We try to get her help, but she refuses because she says everything is fine.
I've thrown my hands in the air because she's in complete denial. At this point, I've given up hope for her.
Okay, so Monique, how would you describe your relationship with Chrissy?
Hostile and violent and depressing.
So what do you think's wrong with your daughter?
Well, it started, I think, about 4 years ago. She started just not taking showers, not changing clothes. And she started cursing us both, started making racist comment. And I got up, she was laying on the bed. I said, "What the hell are you saying?" She put her hands in the air about my face. So we had about half a minute little tussle. Then I let her hand go. I sit down on a chair. She goes, "Oh my God, you broke my nail? Let me show you." She opened up the kitchen drawer, takes a big knife, and stabbed me on my knee twice.
She stabbed you twice?
Yes, sir.
Now, look, you guys said some things that don't sound real bad. You say them real fast. Like, she just, like, kind of quit showering. Wait a minute. What? This is 2019. You're saying that this girl, to your knowledge, has not showered since 2016?
Yes, that's correct.
She's not washed her hair in 3 years?
That's right.
Maybe throw a little bit of water on it.
She throws water on herself and uses body wipes.
Now, where were you when all of this was going on, Mom?
I was back and forth between Texas and Florida because she never wanted to come to Texas to be with me.
Because I've looked at some of the text exchanges that you two have had, and it shows me a lot about the dynamic of this relationship. Chrissy says, "You're a dumbass trying to change yourself for a guy. You're such a stupid bitch." Mm-hmm. This is your daughter talking to you?
Yes.
Okay. "I'm glad Dad used to beat the out of you, you dumb. I hope you get stabbed. I hope a truck runs over you and your body turns to ash. You look like a fat man." Your response is, "I'm not paying for your phone anymore, bitch." Just for you to bitch me out.
Yeah.
Now, what's wrong with that exchange?
Well, in the moment, I chose a bad choice of words, but I'm human, so I don't know.
Well, no, I have less problem with your response than I do with all of this. She apparently has license to speak to you this way.
Yes, she feels that way.
Okay. "Yeah, bitch, not surprised. Blank you anyway." Then you say, "Nope, no room for rent. You said you would send money. Bye. You bitch. Bitch, I need to leave. I hope you die. I need a room for rent." Then she says, "You make me sick, you bastard. I wish I could spit on your face for doing what you did." Then, "Get me Panera." What?
Yeah. I know, what?
I wish I could spit on your face for doing what you did. Get me, Panera. This is just part of the... I'll never respond to you again. This is the second time you said that about spit at me. I should have never given birth to you, you evil what?
Evil bitch.
So go do what you want. I don't care anymore. Response? Order me, Panera.
She told me that she don't give a damn if I drop dead tomorrow.
Do you get that the context? She's telling you she wants you to die, hope your body turns to ash, wants to spit in your face, and in the same dialogue line says, order me a sandwich.
Not normal.
You've been running up and down the road back and forth between Texas and
Houston and Jacksonville.
She's gotten you to actually turn around and come back, right?
She's very convincing.
Yeah, she will, in a month or two, Monique is back, driving back to Jacksonville. And it will, same thing, you know, I mean, talk about, you know.
So you go back to Jacksonville and live with her in a car?
Yeah, and between my half-sister's house, who lives in Florida, and between her house, motels, and my van, all three interchangeably.
So you have a daughter that hasn't showered in 3 years, and you're living with her in a car?
Yeah, it's horrible, especially when it's warm weather. In Florida, it is all year round.
I don't know how she did it.
Yeah, this is the car you're living in?
Yes, we've slept in that Toyota also.
We can talk about what's wrong with her. What's wrong with you that you're living in this car with that trash, with that girl that hasn't showered in 3 years?
Because every time I attempted to get the trash from out of there, she would stop me, physically.
Well, Sanjay and Monique blame each other for their daughter's problems. Sanjay says Monique has no parenting skills, and Monique says Sanjay was verbally and physically abusive. Well, we'll talk about how these two got together and all of these things they're talking about right after the break. Have you been to jail because of her?
I went to jail 3 times for something I never did.
That's not correct.
That's honest truth.
No.
And later, how often do you shower?
Once every other few days.
That's not true.
I don't really feel comfortable with him being here.
Okay, but you're not running this, are you?
80% of Chrissy's issues are because of Monique's mothering skills. Monique became Chrissy's friend instead of her mother. When Chrissy was 16, Monique and Chrissy moved in with one of Chrissy's boyfriends. I said, what the heck are you doing?
Chrissy's dad, Sanjay, is very verbally abusive towards her. He says, do everybody a favor, bitch. Go jump off the cliff. You're worse than the bum on the street. I'm done with you and your screwed up mom.
Why is a 16-year-old girl living with a boy? Where are her parents? Where are her parents? A 16-year-old girl is living with a boy?
With the boy, with his parents, they had an extra room for her, and I paid rent when I was in Texas.
It's not their daughter, it's your daughter.
Right, and then I
Why
came
are you
back.
farming your daughter out to somebody else?
Well, it was an agreement that they had with us at the time.
Why?
Because I just catered to her. I thought it would be better to be a friend to her at that point because she wouldn't listen to me otherwise.
Well, how'd that work out for you?
Terrible. She didn't listen to me when I was a strict disciplinarian either.
So you say that she trapped you into this relationship, that you were not in love with her. She knew you weren't in love with her, but she trapped you into the relationship.
Right. I wanted to have a child with someone that I love and marry. I wanted to get married first, but that's not the way it happened.
So how did she trap you?
Well, she told me that she's on the pills, and then she was pregnant, and I insisted that she get an abortion. We went to the abortion clinic, Monique changed her mind, and then we came back.
Did you trap him?
I don't see it that way. It was a mutual consent.
Did you tell him you were on birth control when you weren't?
I might have missed it. I don't know. I was very irresponsible when I was younger and I met him.
Have you been to jail because of her?
Yes, I went to jail 3 times for something I never did. So yeah, I went to jail 3 times for assault.
Were those false allegations?
No.
I have never assaulted you physically.
That's not correct.
That's honest truth.
No,
Anyway.
you were in a drug-induced rage. You didn't.
No,
You weren't even aware.
The only thing I smoked was
No.
pot, marijuana.
You were on hard drugs.
This is how entitled she is, because she's made demands even since she's been here.
Mm-hmm.
Here are her demands. Yeah, on Thursday, the 19th, she says that Mom's husband, Hollis, cannot do this show, cannot be part of this.
Mm-hmm.
Then on Saturday, the 21st, says Dad, Sanjay, can't do the show. She's dictating this to us. Then on Sunday, the 22nd, says Mom, Monique, can't do a field shoot interview alone. She has to be there to monitor it. Monique can't be on the stage with her when she comes out here. Then on Monday, yesterday, she says, must have a form-fitting dress and a wig for the taping.
I tried so many agencies to see if we can get her some help. She won't even get out of the car. And basically, they told me if she's not a threat to herself, there is nothing we can do.
Is she a smart girl or not?
Well, she's smart and manipulating people.
She's very smart.
But she never graduated high school.
No, she chose not to.
Okay, so she lives with a boy at 16. That's okay with you. She quit school. How is that okay?
It wasn't okay, but I didn't want to get into physical altercations with her.
Why does she shave her hair?
Because she feels the need to have some sort of control, and that's the only control she can have when her current recent ex rejects her.
Why does she not shower?
I think it has to do with when she was traumatized when she was in jail, and she got out of there. She didn't feel the same. She wasn't the same person anymore.
After she stabbed me, she went to jail, and the showering thing started happening after she came out. I guess she was embarrassed there to get naked, and after that, she never took a shower, never combed her hair.
Yeah, they were taunting her in the jail and bullying her. It traumatized her.
When we come back, Chrissy is backstage. My staff says it appears she still has not showered. She said she did clean her hands with wipes. It has not been an easy experience dealing with this particular guest, but we're going to meet her after the break.
Dr. Phil.
I haven't really felt homeless, of course, because I've always had like a place to stay. I was bouncing from friend to friend, so this is like all my stuff. These 2 bags, this is like all the clothes I own. If I lost any of this stuff, that would suck.
A couple of years ago, Chrissy went to jail for stabbing her father.
Chrissy and I one day had an argument over her GED enrollment.
She kept saying, get your GED or you're going to be like all the rest of the bums on the street.
She was laying on the bed and she raised her hand over me in the air. I grabbed her hand, we tussled for 15, 20 seconds. Next thing I know, she goes, oh my God, you broke my nail. And to my astonishment, she opened up the kitchen counter, grabs a knife, and she came, bam, bam, twice stabbed me on my knee.
Well, Monique says her once beautiful daughter, Chrissy, now looks homeless, is refusing to bathe, wash her hair, or change her clothes. Chrissy says she's just absolutely fine and doesn't understand why her mom would make up lies about her.
Right now, I'm currently couch surfing in between friends. They don't mind me sleeping on their couch. I haven't really felt homeless, of course, because I've always had like a place to stay. I don't have a car, so my friends usually pick me up. I've lived with about 15 friends for the last couple months. I like this lifestyle, but I do want stability. I meet the people that I stay with on social media. Meeting these people for the first time can be awkward. Some of them want like to either sleep with me or they want money, so that's why I have to leave. I was bouncing from friend to friend, so this is like all my stuff. These 2 bags, this is like all the clothes I own. There's like another duffel bag in here that my mom sent me, some baby powder, eyeglass cleaner. I have a extension cord, a toothbrush. I have the GED book that I'm currently studying for. If I lost any of this stuff, that would suck. I usually just get my stuff out of the way and just sleep on a blanket on the floor every day. I get up at around 8:30. I usually brush my teeth, put on my makeup, fix my hair, get my outfit for the day. I'll call my mom. I try to get her to send me money. I just, hang out, chill, be on my phone. I'm usually a homebody, but I definitely like to get out. I like to go to the park, window shop, just have fun. I don't feel like I can keep living the way I'm living because I want to be a family unit with my mom and eventually be independent. My mom wanted me to be this person forever. I want her to know I like my hair this way, I like my clothes this way. I'm 23, so I feel like my mom should see things my way and kind of accept how I am. So it's kind of like, Mom, back off a little bit.
Hi, have a seat right here. And we have a microphone for you there. You can just clip it on. Okay. Chrissy, it's good to meet you.
Thank you. Good to meet you, too.
You have chosen to be homeless.
Not really, but I've been staying with friends.
The friends you meet at the Facebook. Total strangers are friends, you're right.
I don't really feel comfortable with him being here.
Okay, but you're not running this, I am. So,
right, yeah, I understand.
So I have a question here. Why are you not taking care of your personal hygiene?
I am. That's his opinion. I mean,
when was the last time you had a bath or a shower?
Like about yesterday, pretty much. So, yeah.
And where was this?
At the hotel we were staying at.
And were you there when this took place?
We had separate rooms. Her idea of a shower is not a shower.
What's your idea of a shower?
Getting in the water and what most people would consider a shower, I guess.
Uh-huh.
So,
and how often do you shower?
About once every other few days, but I mean...
That's not true.
I'm not really comfortable with him being here, so...
No, you are the star of the show, don't
you got something behind you there, so you need to either leave that or take it with you, one of the two. Okay, that's fine.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah. In my opinion, she's either lying to herself or she's actually delusional.
Oh, both.
Sanjay says coming to his daughter's rescue got him in some hot water with Homeland Security, actually. So we're going to ask him about that, and then I'm going to start talking to you two about what I think's actually going on here. We'll be right back. Okay, before we get back to today's show, I want to tell you about an interesting, well, sort of love story that's coming up on Monday. Now, Holly says she's in love and, in fact, is sort of engaged to 2 different men, but there's a real twist here because she's never met either one of them. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, okay, catfish, catfish, catfish. Not true. These are foreign fiancés. And the question is, are they using Holly to get to America? Because she has met both of them on the internet. She's talked to them. She's seen them. So they're not made up people that stole somebody's identity. They're real people. But her mother is really worried. Take a look.
Holly is quick to fall in love with any man that will pay her attention.
Hey, Oma. We would talk a lot about how he wishes he could marry me.
But how do you love someone that's overseas like that you've never met? It's like delusional.
I sent Gunesh love letters, DVDs.
I think these online men are just using her for a green card.
Yeah, so on Monday, you're going to see her story, and we decided that both fiancés should meet. So Holly has a lot of secrets that she's going to reveal to these two men because she's kind of told them a lot of half-truths, and so, well, I'm going to tell them the other half. So you don't want to miss that Monday. Let's get back to today's topic.
Chrissy is very codependent on me. We're best friends. That's how she sees it, and she controls every move I make.
Basically, my dream is to live just me and her. I want to focus on the relationship with my mom without a guy being involved. My mom always says I do come first in her life.
When I hear her say, "I can't be without you, Mom," I just feel it's for her self-serving needs, not out of love. She needs me with her, even though we don't get along, and I want to stay away from her.
Well, Sanjay says his troubled daughter Chrissy's issues, such as not bathing since 2016 and saving her hair that sheds in plastic bags, comes from his ex Monique's side of the family. You two are really busy pointing fingers at one another, and you say you got in trouble with Homeland Security?
About 8 months ago, they were in Florida, so I quit my job. I moved to Florida, too, because I knew Monique's going to need help. It's not one person can handle her. As soon as she saw me at her aunt's house, she was upset. 2 days later, Homeland Security guys came and, "Can I see your ID?" "Yes, you may." "What is this? Tell me why you are here." And then it occurred to me that she had. I said, "Okay, I know why you're here. My daughter called you."
Immigration?
Yeah, Homeland Security.
So are you an American citizen?
No, I'm a permanent resident.
And you've got the papers to prove it?
Oh, yeah.
So they backed off of you?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Have you gotten adapted to it, or do you still smell your daughter when she comes up next to you?
No, I still smell her. Not as bad today, but other days are worse.
Yeah, today maybe because she's supposed to be here, so she's looking half decent, I guess. Otherwise, she doesn't look like that. She doesn't smell like that. If it was a real case, I would walk away.
This was a good day?
Yeah, this is a very good day. Otherwise, smell alone, you won't be able to sit close
And
to
she
her.
wears the same clothes for months.
For months.
And she doesn't want to wash them.
If she took a shower yesterday, she did it really fast. Seriously, the problem here is why people that are homeless are homeless. And this is a person that is choosing to be homeless. She's not homeless because she does not have options.
Exactly.
There are people that are homeless that don't have options. And I can tell you, because I have worked with them, there are people on Skid Row here in LA with better hygiene than she has demonstrated.
Yes.
There are people that have less resources, less at their fingertips, but they get to the mission every day. They take showers every day. They have pride in themselves. They may be homeless. They may have fallen on hard times, but they conduct themselves with dignity and self-respect, and they are looking for a way back into the game of life. And that's not what she's doing here.
Yep.
And the question has to be why, and that's what we need to talk about. Now, Monique says her husband Hollis thinks Chrissy is entitled, selfish, and disrespectful. We're going to talk about that when we come back.
Chrissy has filth everywhere. She will not throw anything away. I literally held open trash bags while her mother went through her belongings, and Monique went through 10 containers of trash. It was disgusting. Right now, Chrissy is not welcome in the home.
My mom's boyfriend, Hollis, doesn't really like me. We just don't see eye to eye.
Hollis sees her as selfish, entitled, abusive to her mother. He thinks I should just be done with her.
He's just kind of rude.
Hollis thinks that Chrissy is a complete lost cause. I feel like I'm always in the middle and then they're playing tug of war.
Eventually, I would probably like Hollis out of the picture. I'd like a perfect father figure, but he's just not it.
Well, Chrissy says she does not see eye to eye with Monique's husband, Hollis. Hollis says Chrissy is hateful and is not welcome at his house.
Monique is a young woman, and her daughter has caused her to age 20 years. It's affected her health. Chrissy is just making the marriage horrible, and she does not want anything good for her mother. I am totally done with her. Chrissy will say, I hate you. I wish you were dead. They have been driving in a car, and Chrissy tried to grab the steering wheel and turn the ignition off while Monique was driving down the interstate. I don't know if Chrissy has a death wish, but she has no sense of reality. Chrissy has filth everywhere. She will not throw anything away. I literally held open trash bags while her mother went through her belongings, and Monique went through 10 containers of trash. It was disgusting. And her mother was in tears the whole time. Right now, Chrissy is not welcome in the home. My message for Chrissy is she needs to turn around all this bad behavior. Chrissy, if you stay on the track that you're on now, you're just going to go further and further down, and there's going to be no hope for you.
Well, I've added someone to the conversation here. This is Dr. Charles Sophie. Dr. Sophie is on our advisory board here, and he is board certified in 3 clinical specialties: adult psychiatry, child and adolescent psychiatry, and family practice. Now, he's also the medical director for the Department of Child and Family Services here in Los Angeles. So, Dr. Sophie, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
It seems to me that this is highly dysfunctional parenting that has gotten us to this point, and it has resulted in a highly anxiety-driven young woman here. What do you see?
Absolutely. There is no parenting going on. That's the problem. That girl is probably the most mature of everybody. She's smart. She's trying to get out.
But I also think she's functioning with a mental age of about 12 or 13.
Oh, yes.
Right.
Without a doubt.
Because at this point, she's very hedonistic.
Yes.
She has immediate gratification. She wants what she wants when she wants it, and she wants it right now. Mm-hmm. And that's why she can go from telling you to go jump in the lake and then order her a sandwich in the same breath. Mm-hmm. She has no sense of emotional or social responsibility whatsoever. And you have raised her in such an entitled fashion, and the two of you have made her a tug-of-war in a rope between the two of you. It's astounding to me that you two don't see what's gone on here. You have crippled this young woman, and now you're reaping the benefits of this. Then she goes to jail, and you said, well, maybe she was embarrassed in jail. We don't know the bottom of this, but I'll guarantee you she was traumatized in jail, and she's resolved, I ain't taking a shower again. I'm not taking my clothes off again. You can kiss my ass. I ain't doing it. She says she's willing to come back out. Maybe she will, maybe she won't. We'll take a break and see.
Pretty girl's back.
Just put your mic back on. Chrissy, I'm glad you're back. Why did you decide to rejoin us?
Just to explain my part, because I feel like, you know, they kind of don't know the full extent of everything they're saying. You know, sometimes I've been in friends' houses, and their showers just, you know, kind of gross me out, because sometimes it has mildew on it, and just, it looks just very, like, it just grosses me out. So, I mean, that's sometimes why I won't take a shower. But, I mean, other than that, you know, I do try to.
On a scale of 1 to 10, where would you put your life in terms of how you think it's working? Forget about them. Well, I don't care what they think about this. What do you think about how your life is working right now?
Of course it's not great. I mean, I completely agree. But, I mean, I'm just...
Give me a number.
Maybe like a 3. I mean, that it's not working out.
And given the path you're on right now, where do you think you'll be a year from now?
Probably independent, like stable, independent on my own, having a job, having my diploma.
I'm curious how you think you're going to go from jumping from one person's house to another and being certainly not job applicant ready to all of a sudden being independent, making money, living on your own, and moving on in your life? How are you planning to get from where you are to there? What's going to happen that's going to create this transformation?
Right. Well, from what I understood when I last talked to her, I thought that I was going to move in with her eventually. So if that were to happen, we would have to leave her boyfriend's house, and we would have to probably live in our car for a little bit and try to get somewhere to stay. So when we get somewhere to stay, that's when I would try to look for a job.
Okay, well, if she listens to me, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Because that's just enabling you. And what I'm telling you is, what if you coming here today could be the first step towards you really getting what you're talking about? Because you said being independent, standing on your own. Then when I asked you how, you said, well, I'm going to get my mother to leave her boyfriend, move into a car with me, and the two of us. That doesn't sound to me like a path to independence. That sounds to me like a giant step back. I think I might have a better plan.
Right. I agree. I'm definitely open. I'd love some advice. I mean, I'm definitely open to advice. For sure.
Well, we're going to take a break. When we come back, I'm going to give you some.
Okay.
We'll be right back. Here's the thing. I think that you are experiencing a lot of anxiety that's expressing itself in a lot of different ways. There is a place here in California, in Pasadena, California, that's called Las Encinas. And it is a private hospital. And this is a place that provides medically supervised, patient-centered treatment approach.
The reason I don't feel like that's too necessary is because I thought that she's the one, if anything, has told me to just sometimes either just go on the street, or she has told me to live with friends.
She's not a professional, she's a mother, because what I'm doing is offering a healthy, therapeutic, supportive environment to give her a restart in her life. Okay. And I'm going to ask that you at least go over there, meet them, and take a look around. Will you do that?
I don't know right now, probably.
Okay,
probably
well,
not,
that offer expires today.
Okay.
I'm making you a world-class offer because I think your life is dysfunctional. I think you're paralyzed by anxiety. I think you're not doing the things that someone your age would be doing if you are functional. And if you turn your nose up at it and walk on, that's your choice, not mine. I want to thank all of my guests today. A special thanks to Dr. Charles Sophie, along with Las Encinas, for offering their services to this young lady, whether she grabs onto it or whether she doesn't. Now, last night I was checking out my Instagram, and I saw what some viewers said about this picture with my wife, Robin, having some fun dancing. Believe me, Robin was taking the lead because I have two left feet.
Oh, that was really good.
The first comment from Bridget, I'm not sure, but you guys look amazing. Carla Wesson said, you two are so cute together and your mutual admiration oozes. Photo Girl PB said, Dr. Phil, how can I meet someone that loves me like Robin loves you? The Bee's Knees, Dancing Queen, because both of you are dancing queens. Well, okay. I don't know where you're going to find one like Robin, because there's only one, and I already found her.
Oh, that's so
We'll see you next time.
I hope she listens. I hope you listen to what I'm telling you.
Will she take the help or not? I don't know, but peace out. We're done.
You're so sweet, but I have to say, no, it's really peace out, I'm done. As in the name of one of my brand new products, this amazing cleansing toner removes makeup, dirt, and oils. Peace out, I'm done. also has our multi-patented dynamic infusion technology to quickly hydrate skin with antioxidants and vitamins.
So Robin comes up with all of these cool names for her products. She sits home and makes these up.
I do. Speaking of cool, one of the fan favorites in my collection is, OMG, is this really me? This potent gel has natural clay-derived compounds that also immediately make your face, neck, and eye area look tightened and lifted. Our patented dynamic infusion technology gives you these fresh-faced results incredibly fast. Just pat some on, and you'll look in the mirror and say, OMG, is this really me?
Now, to get yours, just head over to RobinMcGrawRevelation.com, and that is the only place you can get it.
On an all-new Dr. Phil. From beauty queen to a daily dose of this.
If you're happy and you know it, shake your meds.
Tamara's really addicted to Adderall.
Adderall and the music and my inner monster.
She's all over the place.
I was so lonely, I started making love to the furniture around the house.
Tamara's always sending me all these wacky texts. Electric boots, Flo, the bleedy lamb, no avocado on the iPad.
She's gonna get herself a big heap of trouble.
Can she come down from her high?
Does that look manic to you?
I like mania. It's way better than depression.
You're a drug addict in a way that is risking your life. Today's going to be a changing day in your life. You've never had anybody working harder to bring you to the threshold of change than right now. Well, you're getting ready to meet Tamara, who went from being a beauty queen competing in the Miss America pageant to having a very successful career as an anchorwoman on the local news here in Los Angeles. Well, Tamara's husband, Steve, says the former Miss Arkansas and respected newswoman started exhibiting strange behavior 4 years ago.
How you doing, baby? Mama's here. You know what I say? I scare myself. You gotta get while the getting's good, baby.
I'm trying to give birth to my adventurous side.
I kind of like my inner monster. It's kind of good.
So why is Tamara dancing in a tutu in the middle of the night and using a puppet? Well, Steve says he believes that his wife's behavior is a direct result of a dangerous, dangerous dependency on Adderall.
Adderall and the music and my inner monster. Woo, that's the chemical equation right there.
Tamara's really addicted to Adderall.
She's gonna get herself a big heap of trouble.
When Tamara is using Adderall, she's kind of like on a spaceship. I mean, just way off the planet.
I was so lonely, I started making love to the furniture around the house. I was making love to the shower door. I was like, oh, shower door.
She's all over the place.
I scare myself because it's so shameful. Oh, I can't take it.
She's bouncing off the walls.
And I gotta run in here and get these heels on.
She'll stay up all night dancing and singing, jumping around in heels. She doesn't sleep.
I'm trying to give birth to my adventurous side.
Tamara rambles when she's on this drug.
I'm having a new chemical formula for some new lip gloss. It's called Smackered Up.
She overanalyzes everything. She's always trying to figure out Avogadro's number and Einstein's philosophies. Why is the car red? Just a diatribe of completely meaningless talk.
All I am is a walking side effect.
Tamara's always sending me all these wacky texts. Electric boots, flow, follow, 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 flow, with a picture of an ant. The Bleedy Lamb, TBL, Four Eyes, BLT, Blat, no avocado on the iPad. It just makes no sense. She has different personalities.
I may have my little girl, I may have my sultry groomed woman who's ready for her knight in shining armor. But who am I really?
She reads T-shirts, and T-shirts all talk to her. It's like, oh my God, the message for me. And I'm like, no, it's not, honey. This guy bought that shirt at Target. It has no meaning to you. She tells me everything's okay. She can function in the world. She's happy.
Like, how you doing, baby? Mama's here. You know what I'm saying?
But in reality, this drug will eventually kill her, or she will be committed to a psych ward.
He seems to worry a little bit too much about everything, I think.
Well, Steve says Tamara's addiction, which she insists she does not have, leaves him as her caretaker.
I kind of like it. I kind of like my inner monster. It's kind of good.
Tamara used to be very independent, but now I'm her caretaker. I'm the guy that has to feed her and dress her, and she has become like a child.
When I speak the truth, it just...
The winner of the poster contest for the Twilight Dance series at the Santa Monica Pier was announced.
Adderall has stopped her from earning an income.
Keep watching. I'm Tamara Henry.
She was in television for 25 years. She was an anchor woman. She was in the Miss USA pageant. And she was a beauty queen. And now she has no sense of purpose anymore.
I found my inner designer. I can write songs.
She needs constant attention. Tamara will have panic attacks. They're violent. And I feel so bad for her because she'll just crawl up in a ball and pretty much catatonic for an hour or so. She can't move. And she's cried in front of me thousands of times. She'll cry right when we get into our favorite bagel shop. And people think I'm beating her. It's like I'm this really bad husband, and it's nothing like that. It's just she has these panic attacks and she'll cry.
I've been able to do things I could never do. I'm sorry, it doesn't look pretty on the outside.
Tamara's Adderall addiction wasn't part of the deal that I struck when we got married. I have hope. Dr. Phil could actually snap her out of this.
Well, Steve, you got to feel like this is just 24/7, right?
It's gotten pretty intolerable.
Despite your best efforts, you cannot convince her that she has an addiction, that she has a problem here.
She uses a euphemism. I am not addicted. I'm reliant on my medicine.
Okay.
Is how she turns it, yeah.
Because the way she talks about it as though, and I've listened to every piece of tape, read every word that she's talked about. She talks about it as though it's unlocking her mind and letting everything expand, everything come out that has been tamped down. She sees this actually as a positive.
I'm sure she does.
Yeah. Now, she sends you rambling text messages, too.
I stopped reading them, and when your people ask me to read them, I don't read them anymore. I haven't read them in years.
Because they don't make sense,
right? They make no sense. They make sense to her. But they'll make
do they, when she goes back to him, if you say, what the hell are you talking about here?
Yeah, there's some sort of, there'd be a connection of some sort. I mean, she's not stupid. Tamara is a genius, is the problem. But
she'll connect them up
Yeah,
some
she'll
way.
connect them somehow, yeah.
Because here's an example, like text number 1, she says, fear and panic and symbolic death for right-sizing to end the isolation in exchange for everything.
Easy for you to say, yeah.
Yeah. What comes after bleed and scream? Blood, scream, and symbolic death is quick and painless. Long suffering? And then text 2, how can I feel calm in a safe place when I don't know who we're hiding from or what we're hiding? I can't see, I can't hear, I can't feel, I can't understand, I can't make decisions. What is happening? How much longer?
Yeah, it's incoherent. And in her defense, which I will defend her a lot because I love her, but in her defense, unfortunately, where she's at now, she's better on it than she is off of it. I don't know, you know, like heroin addicts, they can use methadone, and other people, alcoholics can go to AA. I don't know what Tamara needs when she gets off of this, because she has gotten off of it before, and she turns into a zombie, Dr. Phil. I mean, absolute zombify.
So you say she's easier to deal with on the Adderall.
Oh, without a doubt.
Because she's more productive around the house. And as much as you say, I don't want to feel like I'm exploiting her, but the truth is, she's easier to manage when she's on it than when she's in a fetal position, crying and upset.
Well, I mean, forget the productivity. She is very productive. I mean, she cleans the house, and it's mind-boggling how much she gets done because, you know, it's like a methamphetamine. It's a speed. But she's calm.
How do you resolve the conflict here? Because you pay for this Adderall prescription. Somebody's giving it to her, but you're paying for it. How do you square that?
You know, that's a real conundrum. You know, she gave me a huge analyzing statement one day. It was kind of like a Tamara manifesto as to why this was, and I actually kind of bought into it. You know, she's like, you know, I've never felt good my entire life, ever. I've always had shame. I've always had guilt. You know, I didn't start taking this stuff until I was, you know, at 40. It makes me feel good. It let me feel good, Stephen. I mean, let me, and I'm like, okay, you know, but then it progressed where she had a 12-hour panic attack in a hotel, and I had to kind of hold her down, and she just cried.
But it's also killing her.
It is.
But that's the thing, because you understand she's sleep deprived.
Yes, she is.
Because she stays up all night, and when you're sleep deprived, then your brain chemistry, the neurotransmitters in your brain are disrupted, and then you're pouring this Adderall, which is just an amphetamine.
But you have to explain it. She won't listen to me because I'm the bad guy.
So we've got a plan then. We'll throw you under the bus. I'll be the hero.
I think I'm already under the bus. Yeah.
All right, I got it. But the side effects get worse and worse, and her brain gets more and more disrupted. And then when she does come down off of it, it's a long way to fall. Now, Tamara says she loves Adderall and all it's doing for her life. And we're going to meet her after the break, and I'm going to ask her some hard questions, and I'll bet you she's got some pretty good answers. We'll be right back.
I've been waiting for somebody to say, put your heels on, baby.
If you're happy and you know it, shake your meds.
When I take my Adderall, it's almost like I have a magic wand. I just walk in the room and it's just clean. I just don't understand why I should stop taking it.
Monday on an all-new Dr. Phil. 2 international men proposed online.
And she said yes to both. Why somebody halfway around the world?
Someone local, they always looked at my size. I am fat, okay?
You think geography's going to solve that?
What we discover.
There's more to this story.
About her online lovers.
What the hell? Liar, liar, pants on fire.
That's Monday on an all-new Dr. Phil.
Well, with 16 million Americans filling prescriptions for stimulants like Adderall every year, many experts warn that a new prescription drug epidemic is fast approaching. We all know about the opioid epidemic, but tucked in behind that is this stimulant epidemic. And the deaths associated with that are climbing at an alarming rate. Now, Tamara insists her Adderall prescription is helping her to, and I quote, give birth to a midlife awakening and fulfill her fairy tale fantasies. Take a look.
Kill that old girl off and let that new girl come to life. Some of my favorite things about Adderall is the fact I just love my brain. I get so excited. I love my brain. I can think clearly. I have access to the words that I need. I can remember things from my childhood. I can remember words I want to recall. Yeah, and you celebrate life and you know, shake your butt and you feel alive again. When I take my Adderall, it helps me focus. It's almost like I have a magic wand. I just walk in the room and it's just clean. A big pile of dirty dishes, voila, it's done.
It's like Alice in Wonderland. All my fairy tale dreams are coming true.
Before Adderall, I was Sleeping Beauty in a glass case, just kind of oblivious. and it woke me up. I could feel everything. For the first time in my life, I just don't understand why I should stop taking it. I've been waiting for somebody to say, put your heels on, baby. Adderall, unleash my inner diva, my inner creative side, my inner neglected self. I was on a run in here, and like I'll even throw these curtains open, and I'll be like trying to sing in here and see if I can hear myself better. Woo-hoo! I put those high heels on, turn that music up, get your disco ball going, and just do the press around. It's therapeutic. I kind of like my inner monster. It's kind of good. In the past, I was a doormat. This flimsy girl who would come home crying. Adderall helped me put my boxing gloves on and gave me the courage to stand up for myself. If you're happy and you know it, shake your meds. I take it every day. 20 to 30 milligrams 2 or 3 times a day. One of the challenges of taking Adderall is trying to find your sweet spot. I used to be the medical reporter, now I'm the patient. Stephen talks about it like it's heroin or some bad thing. It could be a magical journey. So why not have magic? It's a pill I put in my mouth and swallow. I mean, ta-da! I don't know, what's the big deal?
Well, hello, it's good to meet you.
It's nice to meet you, Dr. Phil.
So what is the big deal? Is this all much ado about nothing?
I don't know. I mean, I kind of wish that I had been on it. I was like, why wasn't I on this in high school and college and during my career? I could have done so much better and been so much more successful. And so I just think I had some friends that could see that something was wrong or I needed something, so they told me to go to the doctor.
So you went to the doctor, and did he give you a diagnosis or just the pills? I mean, this is for an underactive neocortex. Did they diagnose you with that?
I think he was able to tell by my symptoms. I can't focus. You know, I need more energy. I'm all over the place. I feel lethargic. No.
No blood workup?
No.
I assume that you're reevaluated every 10 to 30 days?
Right, I go in every 30 days to see my doctor, so he sees me. I come in and I sit on the couch like this, and he looks at me and, you know, says, how's it going? And in the beginning, we talked a lot more, and now it's just kind of like I'm on autopilot. I just come in. We don't have that much to talk about, and he makes sure that I look fine, and I get my prescription, and I just keep going.
Okay, so how long do you spend with a doctor?
These days, you know, it could just take like 5 minutes to come in.
How much are you taking?
I'm taking 20 to 30 milligrams 2 to 3 times a day.
Seriously?
Yes.
And they're prescribing that to you?
Yes.
They know you're taking as much as 90 milligrams of Adderall a day?
Yes. 7
days a week?
Yes.
For 4 years?
Yes.
Right. Tell me what the side effects are, to your understanding.
When you talk about side effects, that we also have a lot of positive side effects that we overlook because people tend to focus on the negative.
So, well, give me a list of both that you're aware of.
Well, some of the positive side effects are that I'm more aware of my inner landscape, the things inside of me that I was unaware of. Let's say I was dragging a lot of luggage behind me from the past, things that were dragging me down. They all became amplified so that I could see them clearly, so I could see some of my character defects, some of my hang-ups, so that I could work on them and get rid of them. One of the first things that came up is I saw that I was kind of concerned about other people's opinions, almost in a paranoid way. And I had to learn to deal with that. Like, I would see somebody frowning, and I would think that was about me. And I had to learn.
But don't you have ideas of reference now? Don't you see things on television or on a T-shirt or on a sign and personalize those things as being about you?
I do. I feel like, because I'm a very spiritual person.
Does that seem normal to you, that you see a T-shirt or a sign and think that that is a message specifically for you?
Well, in the past, I never noticed much of anything. I never noticed any signs. I never noticed any T-shirts. I never noticed, I was a walking zombie. I never saw anything. And then all of a sudden, I was tuning into everything. And I began to see, like,
but now
patterns
my
and
question.
beauty and things like
now
that.
Answer my question.
Okay.
Do you think it's unusual that you see a T-shirt with a saying on it and believe that that is specifically aimed at you?
Well, I kind of believe that everything in life is a Rorschach test. Whenever you see something, it's not about the thing that you're seeing. What you're seeing is your own perception of the world reflected back to you.
But there's a T-shirt that was made in Minnesota 5 years ago, and some guy's wearing it on the beach, and you decide that that message is for you specifically. Does that seem rational?
Inside of me is everything. And so when I see something, I resonate with it. Some things more so than others. You know, that T-shirt doesn't really resonate with me. This one does. That one's, that one's speaking my message. I don't understand what you're asking me.
I think you do. All right, we're going to take a break. Next, Tamara says she has a puppet that is not only part of her therapy, but also helps her reach out to the heathens and hellcats on Venice Beach. We're going to take a look at that after the break, and I'm going to have her look at some of the videotape that we've shot in her condo and let her comment on that. We'll be right back.
Without the Adderall, I just kind of feel like I'm a knot on a log.
She becomes lethargic, very zombie-like. She has a really hard time making any decisions. It's not good for anyone.
Happy Sunday.
I found this puppet at a garage sale.
Curtains for you right now, girl.
I think that it's a perfect little bit of dialogue between multiple parts of myself. Her name is Henrietta Horton.
I'm the one who can bitch and complain.
My puppet represents the side of me that gets to do all the pouting and complaining. I started my own little show out on the beach in Venice, and it's every Sunday morning I go out there, and it's like Sunday school for Saturday night sinners and Sunday morning grinners, because heathens and hellcats need to go to church too.
You gotta get while the getting's good, baby.
Well, Tamara says she had no idea that being prescribed Adderall would lead to what she calls a magical journey of creativity and awakening.
I kind of feel like that in the beginning, before I started taking Adderall, I was out there and I was talking to people, and when I started to take the Adderall, it was more of an inner journey. And for the first time in my life, I was able to cry. My entire life, I couldn't feel anything physically, I couldn't feel anything emotionally. I was locked down, I had blocks and chains. You know, the Bible belt was just squeezing me too tight. I went through some therapy where everyone else was crying and boohooing in their tissues, and I'm like, why am I not crying? I think I was too trapped in my head. Sure. There was something about it that opened my emotions.
How much are you sleeping?
I'm sleeping pretty much regularly, unless I'm, if I choose to stay up late, and I know that Stephen gets mad at me for staying up late, and I want to go to bed at midnight, but sometimes my creative genius can come out late at night.
Staying up late is one thing. 6:32 in the morning is another thing. I mean, that's not late. I mean, that's into the next day.
Right, but I don't know. I've heard stories about, muses and, people who are artists, and I know that everyone should be so regimented and be a 9-to-5 person and get 8 hours of sleep every night, and I think sleep's important.
Yeah, well, let me tell you something. When you started taking Adderall, you didn't reinvent brain chemistry. That is what it is, and I'm watching you here. I mean, take a look at this. I mean, that's fun. Looks like you're having fun.
Right.
How do you interpret what you're looking at here?
I think that, I had, my mom died, and she sent 13 boxes of my stuff from my childhood, and there's my toe shoes. And I got up and I put those on, and I was able to get up on my toes. And there's me cleaning the house. I love Manic Mondays. I get up and I put on the music, and I clean the house, and I get it done. Where, I couldn't clean the house. I would just look at it and say, oh, I can't do this, I can't face it.
Okay, well, let's take a look at this tape.
Okay.
How you doing, baby? Mama's here. You know what I'm saying? I scare myself.
I'm trying to give birth to my adventurous side.
Oh, I can't take it.
How does that look to you?
It's not as bad as I thought it was gonna look. I'm having fun. I used to be a buttoned-up business person, and I had completely forgotten about my inner monster.
Does that look manic to you?
It doesn't look so manic to me, but I think that I like mania. It's way better than depression.
If those are the only two choices, then okay. But the truth is, you're sleep deprived, right? You say it's boring. Sleep's boring. How do you know you're asleep?
No, I think it is important to get good sleep, because then I can function better. And
does she get good sleep?
No, she does not.
How many hours does she sleep?
Well, it's I mean, like when she goes to bed, here's the problem. When she goes to bed at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, she'll come to bed and she'll get up at 10:30, you know, 3 hours. Now, that's not every day, but it's progressively gotten worse. Yeah.
If you're staying up and going to bed at 6:30 in the morning and sleeping for 3 hours, then your brain is altered, and then you're pouring a way overdose of Adderall on top of your brain. You're getting high on speed and running around your house like a chicken with a head cut off.
Anytime you get something new in your life, at first you're gonna be like, wow, this is great.
You've been doing this for 4 years. You're running from something. Is it possible that maybe perception is reality, and so you're seeing this a whole lot different than maybe it really is?
I understand that, and I understand...
Would answer my question. I didn't ask you if you understood it.
Yeah.
I asked you if that's possible, that that's what's happening with you.
I think it's possible. I mean, I want to look at everything, and I want to make sure that, that I get into my stride with this, and if I can't, then maybe I should stop taking it.
But why do you have such a poor image of yourself?
I don't know. I guess maybe because I feel like I have a lot of self-scrutiny, and I feel scrutinized by others or judged by others. And so it's kind of like, I think that, you know, at first I'm gonna be all over the place, but eventually I'm gonna find a good stride and a good frequency, and it's gonna kind of balance out.
Okay, but my question is, what do you know about yourself that I don't know, that Steve doesn't know? What do you know about yourself that is so bad that you believe you can't function without these drugs?
Well, in the past, I was drinking 2 pots of coffee a day to try to get to that place. And in college, I had a doctor write me a note that said that I had chronic fatigue syndrome. And I feel like emotionally, I just kind of tend to be negative and a knot on a log. So I've been really happy. The way that I have felt, I have been happy. I don't know if everyone else is happy, and that's a bummer to think that I have to choose between me being happy or them being happy. There's got to be some kind of happy medium balance.
Okay, I'm not easy to deflect. My question is, what do you know about yourself that causes you to believe that you need to take so much drug to be okay?
What do I know about myself?
You're running from something because you don't feel like you can function without taking 90 milligrams of Adderall a day. What are you running from?
I don't know. I mean, I just don't think I'm running from something. I think that I'm just so ecstatic and happy to be alive for the first time that I may be going bonkers. But I think it's okay. I think that once I get used to this, I mean, I think anytime you get something new in your life, you get a new car, you get a new house, you get a new, you know, husband or wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, you know, get a new career, a new sport. At first you're gonna be like, wow, this is great, you know, and
4
eventually.
years. You've been doing this for 4 years.
I know, and I feel like that, that I'm
we
finally.
trade cars in after 4 years. This isn't new.
Right.
This doesn't have that new drug smell anymore. This is 4 years old.
Well, but it's still working for me, and that's a shame, and I'm sorry. And I would like to know if there's a better drug. I would be willing to change. You know, people say there's got to be something better. I don't know. It's still working for me, and I don't know.
Well, okay, I've got a challenge for you when we come back. Tamara says Steve's got another thing coming if he thinks shipping her off to rehab is going to fix her and their marriage. So what are we going to do about all of that? Well, Tamara wonders if Steve taking Adderall with her might bring his game up to where she is.
What a great idea.
Maybe that's the problem. He's dragging behind. We'll talk about all that when we come back.
She's going through hell,
And her husband's standing over her, judging her every step of the way.
We're more like roommates right now.
He's constantly on me like I'm a bad kid doing something wrong.
I fell in love with this power player. I want her back.
Maybe he's the one that needs a little Adderall.
We had a really horrible incident a few weeks back. I come in from a long day at work, and my wife is drunk at the computer. She was just singing and having a good time. Tamara's mixing Adderall with whiskey. I'm like, I can't think of a more lethal combination. She did it 3 days in a row. I'm not afraid of what's going to happen. I know what's going to happen. This is going to kill her.
Now, Tamara admits that Adderall has created issues in her and Steve's marriage, but she says the real problem is not the pills, it's Steve judging and shaming the new her.
I'm giving birth to something beautiful here, and he can't even see it.
Adderall has caused me and Steve to grow apart.
She's going through hell, and her husband's standing over her, judging her every step of the way, telling the neighbors what's going on.
Our marriage is not great, but she is possessed and has been taken over by Adderall.
The old me is dying away, and the new me is being born. And my husband might be botching up the process because
Steve judges me. Sometimes I feel shamed by Steven or constrained by him, like he's my father or my prison warden.
I'm the bad guy. She won't listen to anything I say. She has no sense of reality. Do you plan on staying on Adderall your entire life?
I don't know what the future holds.
I'm in the middle of my transformation. I'm changing, and he's not. He's like, what is she doing? She's not being the way she used to be. She better go back to the way she was. You know, I'm hot in the kitchen. I'm making some food.
We have gone in two separate directions. We're more like roommates right now.
It's like the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. It's like Alice in Wonderland. All my fairy tale dreams are coming true.
Steven wants me to go off to rehab and come back not taking Adderall. He's constantly on me like I'm a bad kid doing something wrong.
I still love Tamara with all my heart, but I fell in love with this power player, and we were going to take over the world, but she completely fell. I just don't know what to do.
Sometimes I think maybe he's the one that needs a little Adderall, and we'll both be on the same frequency.
The woman I fell in love with doesn't exist anymore. I want her back.
I have a challenge for you.
Okay.
This is a role play. Go back to the old you, anchor woman you, and just interview me.
Okay. So, Dr. Phil, welcome to the Dr. Henry Show. We're so glad you could be with us today.
Glad to be here.
What I would like to ask you is, what have you seen with some of your guests that come in on the show? I'm sure you've had a lot of people struggle with alcohol and drugs. And so in terms of pharmaceuticals, what are some of the biggest risks and what are some of the stories that you've heard about pharmaceuticals?
Mostly denial, because people don't understand how it affects the brain chemistry. And because it's altered their consciousness, they're unable to see what's going on inside their body, and it takes away their ability to have insight and understand what's going on inside them.
Mm-hmm. So how do you get those people to see themselves clearly?
Well, at some point, they have to trust people that care about them and understand that those people are going to be kind of their touchstone. They're going to be the ones that say, you know what? You may not be able to see this, but you're going to have to trust that I love you and I do, and believe in yourself enough to know that there's another way to get what you want rather than chemically.
Mm-hmm. And what are some of those ways that your guests have found?
Well, I think they find it by deciding what the obstacles are within themselves that are draining their life energy, what it is that's keeping them from being everything that they believe they are on the drugs that they can really be. Maybe it's unresolved trauma in their life. Maybe it's a lack of confidence because they have had failure experiences. Maybe it's the fear of being judged by others, and so they just don't feel the ability to go out and do everything they want to do. And when they get the confidence, it's always because they've changed their internal dialogue. They've changed what they're saying to themselves about themselves and about the world. And once you wipe all of those things away and their authentic self is able to come out and blossom, then they don't need the drugs.
Mm-hmm. I like that when you talk about the authentic self, because I think that's what I'm trying to do, is give birth to my authentic self. And it's so hard to do and to anchor that in when you have a lot of people in your life who care about you and who are worried about you.
Well, you've had me as a guest here. What do you want your viewers to take away from my being here today?
Well, I just want them to, I mean, you have the #1 show, the #1 talk show, just to be here, be part of it. That's really amazing. And you did this without Adderall.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yay, natural. Where's Dr. Phil? Hi.
And look at everything in your life you did without Adderall.
Right, you're right.
Look at everything in your life you did without Adderall. All the achievements, all the accomplishments, all the accolades, all the competition, everything you achieved without ever taking that damn pill.
Right. You are so smart, Dr. Phil. Thank you so much for saying that. You hit the nail on the head. I love that.
We'll be right back.
A lot of people have told me to leave Tamara, but I had an ex-girlfriend who I very much cared for. She called me 5 years ago. She had an addiction issue. She said, "Steven, come and get me." And I'm like, "I can't come get you. I'm in a relationship." I wish I had, because she killed herself. I could have brought her, and I could have tried to save her. I don't want this to happen to Tamara. She doesn't have anyone.
Well, Steve says despite people urging him to, he will never turn his back on his wife, despite her struggling with a dangerous Adderall addiction. And he shouldn't, and I'll tell you why. She's here. I mean, she didn't say, "No, I won't come, I won't listen to this." She's here. I mean, you got to give her credit for that. Now, I want to introduce Dr. Charles Sophie. He's sitting here in the audience. Now, Dr. Sophie is a board-certified psychiatrist in 3 clinical specialties, actually, and he's the medical director of the Department in Child and Family Services for Los Angeles. You know, Dr. Sophie, she's taking 90 milligrams of Adderall a day, never having had a brain workup to determine if the prefrontal cortex is, in fact, underactive. What do you think about the levels of Adderall that she's taking?
Well, I mean, the top dose for an adult is about 40 milligrams a day. So you're on 90. You've never really had your blood taken to see if your thyroid or any other medical problem could be presenting itself. But I think, unfortunately, you had a depression, probably, that this medicine, amphetamine, made you feel happy about, happier than you've been in a while. But I think it goes back to his question of what were you running away from inside of you? Because it took it away, but it's artificial.
And what do you think would be the potential problems with taking twice the maximum dosage that an adult should be taking of Adderall for not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 years in a row?
Well, I mean, the side effects of just your appetite suppression. You're depriving your body of food, probably of some level. Your sleep, you're never restoring your brain to the level it should be. And your cardiovascular system can't take it after a while. That's why you're having those panic attacks. You're being overrun with dopamine. Your heart rate goes up. Your blood pressure goes up. You could have a stroke. You could die.
It tricks your body because you have pleasure centers in your brain, and Adderall has a lot in common with cocaine. And you're taking high doses of it, and so it tricks your body, and it messes up the neurotransmitters in your brain. You can have that energy, you can have that joy, you can have that creativity without putting your life at risk. Because right now, you're a drug addict. And you're a drug addict in a way that is risking your life. And you need to be responsible enough to hear that and make a deal that says, I'm not willing to go back to where I was before I started the drug, but I'm not willing to put my life at risk and continue doing this either. I want an alternative. So what's next for Tamara and Steve? I'm going to tell them what I think after the break. You, biochemically, are addicted to Adderall. Do you believe that?
Well, I mean, I don't want to call myself a drug addict, and sometimes I say, Maybe I'm just drug dependent.
You're drug dependent and I have thinning hair.
Yeah.
Okay? Let's not get into semantics. You have an issue with Adderall. Fair?
Yes. I mean, does that mean everybody that takes it is that way?
Everybody that's taken 90 milligrams a day for 4 years, you're damn right.
When he wants me to stop taking it, it kind of feels like he's trying to take away my newfound magic. You know, this is the new me, and you don't like it, and it's almost like he wants to do away with that girl, and it's kind of scary.
My goal is not to get you off of this drug. My goal is to get you to a well-adjusted, drug-free place where you're happy and free and energized in your life, where you're experiencing everything you are now, but without the drug. Will you work with us to do that?
Yes, I will.
Okay? Yeah. And Dr. Sophie, will you help us do this?
100%.
Because we can start with getting some lab work and figuring out where she is brain-wise. If we need to, she can go to PNP in Dallas and get a brain workup and figure things out. And if the easiest thing for you is to go to a dual diagnosis treatment program that's just stunningly beautiful. Dr. Mannion, how are you?
Hi, Dr. Phil.
This
Hi,
is Dr.
Tamara.
Dina Mannion. She's the Chief Clinical Officer at Aloe House Recovery Centers. They provide a terrific, very customized experience. You understand what we're saying here.
The great thing about Aloe House is we're not just a treatment center. We also do use alternative methods to help people to get to their authentic self, which I think you really want to do. In addition to having daily medical doctors on site, we also do things like sound bath and yoga and equine therapy and things that can kind of bring out that inner creativity in you that I think you're wanting to really get in touch with. It's not just rehab.
Can I bring my puppet?
Yes. You can bring your puppet.
Please bring your puppet.
Okay.
Puppet therapy. There we go.
Really, I think this is absolutely made for you. And again, understand, I don't want you just off this drug. I want you to have what you're looking for in your life.
Thank you.
Fair enough?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Okay? Very much. All right. I want to thank all my guests today, and a special thanks to Dr. Charles Sophie and Dr. Dina Mannion from Aloe House Recovery Centers for offering the resources for Tamara, because it's just made for her. For more information about today's show, log on to drphil.com. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I do read your comments and questions. For instance, the real Kelvin Klein asked, Dr. Phil, my brother keeps eating my leftovers. Got any advice? Yeah, quit leaving them left. Eat them yourself or put them under your mattress. That's what I used to do. We'll see you next time.
All right, 30 seconds to air. Here we go, guys.
Today's episode is hopefully going to be an eye-opener for this young man, Chaz. He was once a good student and a star athlete, but now he's facing prison after escaping police custody, causing an 8-hour televised manhunt, if you can imagine that.
This ain't just a TV show, like this real life. This is how it is in the hood.
He's a teenage gangster with a pretty extensive rap sheet.
If they ain't got me on camera, no face, no case.
How long did it take you to learn this accent?
I didn't
No,
learn
you
the
go
accent.
in and out of an accent.
Because I'm trying to sound proper on TV.
Chaz is facing 5, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 felony counts. And one of the biggest questions today is his future going to be behind bars, or are we going to have a chance to do something to help him? Well, I'm bringing in some backup, someone who really knows what that means.
Prison life, man, is a whole different ballgame. I'm not afraid of prison. I'm just scared of the time I'm going to lose while I'm in there.
You're just not smart enough to be afraid of prison.
That's actually why I came to talk to you, Dr. Phil. So if you was in my shoes, what would you do?
I would keep myself off of the streets. I wouldn't be out after dark. I wouldn't be anywhere that would create problems. I would make a choir boy look like a thug. Let's go see if we can straighten this kid out and keep him from getting into more trouble.
Dr. Phil, it's showtime. Let me bring you back here, please.
In 3, 2, 1, roll 45, take track.
Today's going to be a changing day in your life. You've never had anybody working harder to bring you to the threshold of change than right now. Well, 2 months ago, a teen named Chaz was the center of an intense police manhunt that made news headlines after escaping from handcuffs in the back of a police car. Take a look.
A manhunt is on right now. Detroit police searching for this man right here. He's a teenager who escaped police custody.
16-year-old Chaz Taylor of Muskegon. This is a photo that the police are sharing, and in the past 10-15 minutes or so, we've seen special operations officers about to head into an abandoned building where they suspect he could be. The teen from Muskegon had been part of a Job Corps training program in Detroit. Police say he took a bad turn and was caught with a concealed weapon, then tried to fight with officers during his arrest this morning.
It's a relief that he's been found, but it's kind of not when my husband tells me that my son is all bruised up.
Also at the laundromat across the street, a worker telling us Taylor has been seen in the area before, armed with a gun.
Well, Chaz, who is now 17, could be sentenced to 10 years in prison, but his mom, Dana, says her son was a star athlete who has fallen in with a bad crowd.
My 17-year-old son, Chaz, is currently facing 5 felonies because of the police manhunt he was involved in. Someone called the police and told them he had a gun. Because of that, he got arrested. When the police removed him from the car, Chaz took off running and then hid in an abandoned building, causing a 7.5-hour standoff. The 5 felony counts against him are assault with a dangerous weapon, assault and resisting arrest, unlawful escape, and assault and battery. He could get 10 years max in prison. All of this is absolutely mortifying.
Jail doesn't scare me. The people in there don't scare me. You do the crime, do the time.
He just wants to be hood so he can hang out in the streets all day.
Live by the streets, you die by the streets.
Chaz failed a drug test last month. He tested positive for marijuana.
Like, once you see people driving down the street every day, they just get to know you. Like, I done took taxi cabs so damn much that the taxis be smoking with me, for real. Like, I'll blow wood with a taxi driver.
He has money. I don't know where he gets it from because I don't give it to him. He joked with me that he was selling drugs. Then he says, "I'm just playing, Mom." There has to be some truth to what he's saying.
I make money from regular people, any hustle. Making that money. I'm a businessman.
Last year, we got into a fight because he snuck his girlfriend into our house. He ended up punching a window out and got 18 stitches. I'm at the end of my rope with Chaz. I've thought about when he turns 18, and it makes me cry because there's nothing I can do to control him. I'm terrified that he might lose his life.
Well, Dana, you're in a pickle, right?
Yeah.
You're his mother. And so you're saying, this is my baby who, until a few years ago, was charming and a great kid and a good student and an athlete. And now he's gone out and done some really stupid things.
Yes.
He got caught with a gun. Where'd he get the gun?
I have no idea.
You certainly didn't give it to him. You didn't help him buy it, or
No.
Did you know he had it?
I did not.
And what do you think he was doing with that gun?
I think he was trying to show it off, make himself look cool.
You said he's a wannabe gangster.
Yeah. He wants street cred.
So is he a poser, or is he really somebody that would take a gun and go out and shoot somebody and take their life?
No, I don't believe that he would ever actually shoot somebody and take their life. I don't believe that. I think that, yeah, he's posing.
So you say he's not that pathological?
No.
He says he got out of his handcuffs because you taught him how to do it.
No, he asked me. I'm double jointed in my thumbs.
Yeah.
And I thought that was cool. I never thought that my son would use that as a way to take handcuffs off.
You can make your hand smaller.
Yeah.
And he was just sitting there thinking, oh, you know, Mom said.
Yeah, I asked him too, like, what possessed you to do that? And he told me a different story. He told me that he used a wire out of a screen and a pop can to take that off.
Right. Well, I won't say how you do it. You also said when he was picked up, you were offended that he was bruised.
I was a little bit. I just was afraid that maybe the police beat on him.
I think you're damn lucky he wasn't shot.
I'm very lucky he wasn't shot.
Because he was arrested with a gun.
Yes. I was terrified that when I went home that night, I wouldn't have a son.
Now, I'm really interested in how you have reacted to what's gone on along the way. And I kind of put together a timeline all the way back to when he was 14. Because in April of 2016, he steals a car, goes on a joyride, and when the police get there, he doesn't stop. He takes off, so now there's a chase. And your response is, okay, you're going to have to stay in the house.
Right.
Does it seem a little underreactive?
It does, but he came home 21 days after the fact. He spent time in the youth home, and when he came home, I didn't know what else to do besides make him stay at home. If he's at home, he can't be out getting in trouble.
All right. Then in July of 2016, he's still 14, he admits to selling weed. He's caught sneaking $30 into your purse. He gets caught sneaking out of the house.
Yes.
He's 14, he's sneaking out of the house. And you Snapchat to his friends a picture of his empty bed. And you allow, since he didn't know any better.
No, what I did was, when I realized that he wasn't in his room, he did the old pillow trick under the blankets. So what I did was, I took pictures of that, and I knew he was watching my Snapchat too. That way he knew that I knew he wasn't home.
Okay, then what happened then?
Well, when he came home, he got grounded. I took his bedroom door off. We watched him. Me and his dad worked on shifts. Mm-hmm. I was awake during the day with him. His dad was awake during the night to make sure that he could not get out of our house.
Well, who was watching him when he brought a girl into his bedroom?
He snuck her in through the basement window.
Okay, the 15, he just quit school.
He was on his way to getting kicked out of school, so I thought that I would put him in another program. And then he wanted to go to Job Corps, so we let him go to Job Corps in Detroit. Okay. I figured getting him out of my neighborhood.
So then he punches his hand through the glass, and an argument gets 18 stitches.
Yes.
Okay, and there were really no consequences for that other than the stitches.
Yeah. I have a hard time, I don't know why, but I have a hard time with punishment.
Mm-hmm. He jokes that he's selling weed. He gets kicked out of the new
Job Corps.
Yeah, the Job Corps. And there's no consequence for getting kicked out at all. You just dismiss the selling weed as a joke. He just thought, I was kidding about that. I wasn't really doing that. Then at 16, he goes to a block party, gets drunk, arrested, escapes custody. And so you ground him with staying home, but you don't take away his phone or his car.
Well, he can't drive his car anyway. His car's parked in my backyard. I don't know how else to punish him. I mean, talking to him and grounding him, I figured would work, because I didn't know what else to do.
Which is one of the reasons you're here.
Correct.
Good idea. Really, good idea.
And because when I told him, let's go to counseling, you know, you need a counselor, Dr. Phil's the only one I want to talk to.
Uh-huh.
He was all about Dr. Phil. He wanted to talk to you about it.
Well, let's give him that chance. Chaz says he is a hood legend. I guess these are small hoods because there's 32,000 people in your town, right? I'm going to see for myself when we meet him next.
If you're doing street crime, you do street crime code. Ain't nothing fun when you broke. You broke, that's how you get locked up. What would Dr. Phil do if he was in my shoes? This ain't just a TV show, like this real life. This is how I moved the handcuffs from behind me to in front of me, and I got out that cop car and escaped. So I took my thumb and I pulled as much as I can to the side like this until it turned, and I just did it until I heard it pop. And I moved the handcuffs as much down my wrist as I could so I could get a little bit of room. And I went and just like this. Put them in front of me. It was a fire extinguisher right here, and I pulled the handle and the whole car started filling up with smoke. I took off running towards the fence, went like this, and did like a front flip over the fence. I swear I was running like 15, 20 miles per hour. Could not catch me.
Chaz says he's just hustling and doing what he has to do to get money.
I may be only 17, but people know me on these streets. I don't gangbang, I'm in an organization. I do whatever I gotta do to make that money. If you ain't got street credit, nobody know you in Muskegon. I know everybody on this block, and that block. You gotta know your block. Muskegon's dangerous. People crazy out here. There's only like 32,000 people and we got one of the top crime rates in America. How does that happen? This is my cousin Man-Man's memorial. This is a sad story, actually. He passed away, he got shot right here in this alley. This flower right here symbolizes my cousin Jamal's memorial. This is where he passed away over some petty that they call robbery. My mom is very worried about me. She don't want me to be a statistic. See how I turned out, skipping school, smoking weed, getting in stolen cars, getting locked up, and I just look at it now and I'm like, damn, I'm finna go to prison. As long as you know how to use your hands, you can always make money. Ain't nothing fun when you broke. You broke, that's how you get locked up, because you get locked up trying to make money. I do want more than just street credit. You gotta have goals. You gotta have a plan, because if you don't got a plan, it's not gonna work. And don't jump in these streets and try to make money if you ain't gonna stick to the street code. You see what they say? Hear no evil, see no evil, say no evil. If you're doing street crime, you do street crime code. What I learned in the streets was a smart person learns from their mistakes, but a wise person learns from other people's mistakes. What would Dr. Phil do if he was in my shoes? If he had to grow up how I did, if he had to grow up poor, some people grow up not having no money at all. Because I know my dad, he came from the struggle. My mom, she came from the struggle. I'm used to seeing that's normal to me. On Dr. Phil, a lot of people that claim they in that street life, a lot of people that try to play that tough role. And I can actually back up what I'm talking about. This ain't just a TV show, like this is real life. This is how it is in the hood. You look beautiful, man. It's nice to meet you, Dr. Phil.
Good to meet you. I'm glad you're here for a variety of reasons. You've decided that you'll get outside the mainstream and just hustle the streets, and that's where you'll make your fortune.
No, not at all. That's just, you know, it's like, how do I put it in words that you understand? Because we don't have the same point of view or the same opinions. So I'm gonna try to say it like this.
Okay.
Like, I'm not trying to say that's how I make my fortune or anything like that. That's just how I make my money right now. Mm-hmm. It's not a plan. It's not something I plan
Well,
to do.
tell me what your thoughts are. Don't let the suit fool you, boy.
Hey, you ain't fooling nobody. You a regular person just like me.
Yeah, see, you don't know where I've been or what I've done. Just tell me what you think. What do you do out on the streets?
Make money.
How?
Does it really matter? Like, I'm on bond, bro.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna incriminate myself on TV.
It's obviously something you don't want to say, so
of course. Yes,
it's illegal.
Yeah, you can say that.
You say, I don't understand. You have a whole language system that you can help me understand. I kind of made a list of your Chazisms here.
Dang! Y'all really, you know what I'm saying? Like,
you said, I sell motivational speaking and happiness.
Oh, yeah, I'm a good person. I'm like one of the best people to talk to if you need
I know I'm cute. Everybody knows my name. I'm legal now. I'm grown as hell. My tee-up time.
Tee-up time?
What's that?
Tee-up time is like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you about to go up. Like, you about to have fun. Like,
okay.
You just lose all house training.
Okay, I'm a goat.
That's like...
Greatest of all time. I'm a hood legend.
Only reason I said that, I said I was a hood legend because I ran the whole 10th precinct of Detroit. And everybody talks about how tough Detroit police are. How y'all let a 16-year-old boy escape that long, though?
Mm-hmm. How long did it take you to learn this accent?
Accent? I didn't
No,
learn
you
the
go
accent.
in and out of an accent.
It's because I'm trying to sound proper on TV.
And you have 5 felony counts against you, right?
Yeah, but hopefully I can get them to drop some of them charges. Hopefully. But I don't think they will. They're going to send me to prison. Like, I got a strong feeling they're going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually why I came to talk to you, Dr. Fick. Like, you give really good advice. So if you was in my shoes, what would you do?
That's a really good question. And I'm going to tell you exactly what I would do, because I think you're asking an honest question.
I know.
And so I'm going to answer it right after the break.
When Chaz was 14, he got caught up in an incident with a stolen car. Chaz was driving. He led the cops on a high-speed chase for about 20 minutes.
I went on a little ride in the car. My cousin let me drive it. I loved it. I went like 80, 90. First time driving, it took like 7 blocks. They charged me for unlawfully driving away in a motor vehicle. I ain't steal it, though. If they ain't got me on camera, no face, no case.
Well, Dana says she doesn't know where her son, Chaz, is getting his stacks of money, especially when he is facing 5 felony charges for carrying a concealed weapon, assault with a dangerous weapon, assaulting a police officer, escape from lawful custody, and assault and battery. Now, Chaz asked me before the break what I would do if I had 5 felony charges against me. The first thing I would do is understand that there are certain expectations of me as a young man. And I would do everything I could do to project 2 things: remorse and a new path.
You see where I'm at, though.
No, listen to me. You asked the question, hear the answer.
Okay.
I wouldn't be cavalier about it. I wouldn't be smug about it. I wouldn't be doing rhymes like no face, no case. I wouldn't be saying things like, I'm not afraid of prison.
I mean, I'm not afraid of prison. I'm just scared of the time I'm going to lose while I'm in there.
You're just not smart enough to be afraid of prison.
You see, I'm very intelligent.
No, I know you are.
I'm very smart. I'm a very smart young man.
No, I think your raw intellect is
Have
really
you ever
very
been to prison,
good.
Dr. Phil? Do you know what it's actually like in there? Have you ever been locked up?
Have I ever been in prison?
Have you ever been locked up at all?
No.
Have you ever been detained?
No.
Okay, you don't know what it's like in there.
Yeah, let me tell you, I've spent more time in prison than you have spent in school.
That's a lie.
I would, number one, have my butt back in school tomorrow morning.
You see, but I actually am enrolled in school.
No, you have to listen to me. I would have myself back in school tomorrow morning. I wouldn't be enrolled, I would be there. And I would be a model student. I would be doing everything I could possibly do to demonstrate to a judge that if you take me out and put me behind bars, you are disrupting momentum that I have created a positive way in life. I would be looking at everything I could do to demonstrate remorse. I would be looking at everything I could do to volunteer with kids. I would be looking at everything I could do to create a positive impact on my community. I would be living at home with respect. I would be mowing the yard. I would be out planting flowers in the flower bed. I would be going to school in the morning. I would be staying there and pounding erasers at the end of the day. I would be going to the boys club and asking if there's things I could do to volunteer. I would be down at the church seeing if there's something I could do down there with those less fortunate than myself. I would keep myself off of the streets. I wouldn't be out after dark. I wouldn't be anywhere that things could even happen around me that would create problems. I would make a choir boy look like a thug.
All right.
And I tell you that because I have spent most of my professional career as a litigation consultant, and I was trained as a forensic psychologist, and I have made recommendations to the court about what they should do with people exactly like you, and that's exactly what I look for, and that's exactly what I base my recommendations on, and that's exactly what's going to happen to you. Dana says her husband blames her when it comes to their son's out-of-control behavior. We'll meet him next.
My husband and I argue a lot over Chaz. He thinks our son needs stronger discipline.
Dana feels guilty for punishing Chaz. She always lets him off the hook for everything he does.
I'm way too easy on Chaz. I don't want to take anything away from him. I feel like if I take from him, he's just going to take from other people.
I just walk away. There is no point trying to get through to Dana because she's going to win. How do you control a kid when you're not allowed to?
Well, Chaz's father, Chaz Sr., says that he's tried to discipline their son, but his wife always puts a stop to it. What do you think about the advice that I'm giving your son?
I think it's correct. I think he needs to be punished. You just can't run around the streets doing what you want. And like I tell him all the time, you know what I'm saying? You might have a little respect on the streets right now because of the kids these days. To me, all these little gangsters going around right now, they all soft. They don't know what hard is. And like I told him, one day when you turn 18, I'll go show you what hard is. If I don't, the government will.
We have a criminal defense attorney here, former district attorney Mark Davis, and he says jail damn sure should scare Chaz. He just asked me a question in earnest about what I would do if I were him. What do you think of my answer, Mark?
That was excellent. It was excellent. When you're dealing in the criminal court, you have to understand what the process is. The first thing the prosecutors want to know is, what's the history of your client? And we've seen on this show a timeline of you doing stuff that they're not going to look too kindly upon. If you've done all the things that Dr. Phil has suggested that you do, then I'm in a little bit better position to try to defend you. But if you can't do that, if you look like you show no remorse, if you look like you want to be the tough guy, if you look like you want to have street cred, you're going to be in a world of hurt. I feel bad for your mom about what's going to happen to you.
Ryan Blair is here. And Ryan, you said that there was a time in your life when you hustled on the streets, and that's a dead-end road, right?
Yeah, you know, Chaz, you have a lot of potential. You got a big heart. You got a charm to you. There's something about you that you can actually take this pain that you're in, this pain that you put your family in, and you can turn it into something much bigger than the little game that you're playing right now. So I've been able to start businesses and generate hundreds of millions of dollars in success because I channeled that thing that made me different, that thing that made me stand out, into something very special. And I turned myself into a legal entrepreneur from an illegal entrepreneur. If you could do it illegally, you could do it legally. And it's a lot easier to do it legally than illegally.
I understand that. Completely.
100%.
I understand that. I have a question though. Why were you hustling?
I was poor. I wanted to make money. I lived on the streets. I was in and out of juvenile hall. Same thing that you're doing.
What made you change? Like one day, you just woke up and was like, I don't want to do this no more? Or you just smoked?
You know what made me change? Is I had a moment like you should be having right now.
He went from the streets to a successful entrepreneur. He has written a best-selling book called Nothing to Lose, Everything to Gain, how I went from gang member to multimillionaire entrepreneur.
What you bang?
And he absolutely has done what it takes to turn it around.
You asked a question. You can read the book.
I said, oh, read the book? You don't represent on camera? Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
That's smart.
Chaz says jail doesn't scare him. Well, maybe he'll change his mind after he meets my next guest. We'll be right back.
I feel that Chaz will end up in prison over his 5 felonies. There's tough guy Chaz, who thinks jail is a joke. Then there's the child Chaz, who doesn't understand what jail really is.
Jail doesn't scare me in the slightest. Losing my freedom still. That's time I can't get back. Me personally, I feel like I'll be all right. Half the city locked up right now in the county jail. So you gonna send me to prison with my friends that got locked up for doing bad stuff, and you gonna keep me in there with all of them? I'm gonna get out probably 10 times worse. I'm gonna be real with y'all. If I go to prison, you always got that number on your back. That ain't never coming off.
My next guest, Joseph, is a former Los Angeles gang member and says he has a few words for Chaz. I've known Joseph for a good while now, and his son Joey is here with him. And I find that interesting because you're here, your dad's here. Joseph, we've talked about this already, and he's playing at this life. You've lived this life. What do you want to say to him?
You know, prison life, man, is a whole different ballgame. You know, you're half white and you're half black, correct?
Yes, sir.
So when you hit the state, you're gonna choose one.
Oh, yeah, I know.
What side are you gonna choose?
Neither. I'm choosing mulatto.
You have no choice. You're gonna run with the blacks or the whites. You have no choice. So if you choose the blacks, the whites are always gonna hate you. If you choose the whites, the blacks are always gonna hate you. And that may not be in your chest, but it's outside of your realm now because you're put in their world. And then you have to do, excuse my language, you have to do things that you may not want to do. You're a good-looking dude. I love women, but you're a good-looking dude. And let me tell you, going to the joint is nothing nice. And you seem like you got a great heart, man. You got some charisma. Like my man's over here said, you got beautiful charisma. And that's with all due respect. And you a track star, bro? Like you 17, you were faced with 5 felonies. You gonna do prison time. I hope you don't, but you're gonna do prison time. But until you find it in you to live for something, your mom, you love your mom. I heard you have a little brother, right?
Of course.
This is my son, 21. I was gone the first almost 6 years of his life, man. He just graduated college, only because he gave me a purpose to live. When I came home from prison, I left them. They wanted to kill me because I betrayed the ones that I loved the most. But I had a purpose now, my son. And it's hard to stand on your own, but it's a beautiful thing when you actually stand on your own and you find that self-worth, because ain't nothing outside can touch you anymore.
Joey, he's turned this around, right? I mean, you've watched it since he's come back and actually made a different path in his life, right?
Oh yeah, like 100%. Just seeing, I mean, I was 5'6" when he got out of jail, so just seeing how he's grown from then to now is amazing. He's a completely different person.
And you're the first in this family line to break the cycle.
Yes.
You didn't go the gang route. You're the first in this family to break that family legacy.
But you can do that. All this hustle, the game, put that into bars, bro. You teach him that. Your little brother looking up to you like an idol, bro. You God to him.
I don't know, and that's why I don't let nothing.
But let me tell you, he's gonna be like, I'm gone. I'm faster than the police too. Nah. You don't want your little man to do that, right?
Of course not.
No. You gotta be that little brother, man. You gotta be that big brother and love him, bro. Because you can do that. I promise you.
We'll be right back. I'm back, and we're talking to Chaz and his family, and he's facing 5 felony charges. This is pathological behavior. This is something that is really not healthy. And I've brought somebody here today, and this isn't someplace that I'm sending you because you're not even eligible to do it. But this is Dr. Kaligi right here. Raise your hand. Now, I asked Dr. Kaligi to come here because he is the founder of Creative Care, and it is a family-owned and operated residential treatment facility, and they have lots of different arms to this treatment facility. And Dr. Kaligi, isn't it true that if you get into pathological behavior like this and you assume a role at a young age, and it is perpetuated and allowed to perpetuate by parents, this gets so ingrained in your personality that it turns into and can turn into a mental illness, whether it's a personality disorder like antisocial personality or whatever. This actually becomes so toxic that it becomes a mental illness.
Well, without a doubt, we already see a lot of evidence that there's been no consequence for your behavior, and you continue to check the limits. Where is the limit of what I'm allowed to do? So what we've always dealt with patients that are adults, they start very early, whether it's drug addiction or having a problem with the law and boundaries. This doesn't get any better until you have a very serious consequence.
You can actually turn this around if you will do it. And I will get you help in doing that. I'm going to get you a coach to help you do that, but you've got to be willing to lean into it.
I appreciate you a
Okay?
lot.
I want to thank my guests today. A special thanks to attorney Mark Davis. A special thanks to Ryan Blair. Thank you so much. And the founder and executive director of Creative Care, Dr. Kaligi, thank you so much. Thanks to Joseph and his son Joey. Thank you guys for being here. Coming up, it takes a powerful person to change a life. But imagine if that person was only 5 years old. We're going to hear all about that after the break. Well, my next guest is a very special and dear friend of mine who has appeared here many, many times throughout the seasons. He's also a personal friend away from all of this. I'm talking about Mitch Albom, and he is here to talk about the first nonfiction book that he's written in over a decade. It's a very personal story about a 5-year-old Haitian girl who changed Mitch's life and a whole lot of other people's forever. It's called Finding Chica, a little girl, an earthquake, and the making of a family. Take a look.
Chica was basically our daughter. She was a doll. She was bossy.
You should go to bed right now.
She was independent and she was fiery. That's a grown-up toothpaste.
I don't care.
And I don't look at it as we lost a child. I look at it as we were given one.
I understand it.
Joining me is best-selling author Mitch Albom. So thank you for being here.
Phil.
Tell the viewers about Chica and how she came into your life and just all about Chica.
Well, ever since the earthquake in Haiti in 2010, I went to Haiti a couple weeks afterwards, got involved with an orphanage there, and in one of those moments where you don't know what you're saying, said, I think I can operate this place if you want me to. And they said, great. Chica was born 3 days before that earthquake. She was brought to us when her mother passed away. And then when she was 5 years old, I got a call from our director saying there's something the matter with Chica. Her face is drooping. And sure enough, we found out that, as they told us in Haiti, she has something on her brain. It's very big, and whatever it is, there's no one in Haiti who can help her. And so we brought her to America, hoping that American medicine would be able to, fix whatever this was. And she'd be back in a couple months. And she never went back. She stayed with us for 2 years as we tried to find a cure for DIPG, which is uncurable.
You said one of the biggest lessons that you learned is that you didn't lose a child, that you gained one. What do you mean by that?
Well, you can lament when you lose somebody. It's easy to do. But if you think about even the 2 years' time that we had with Chica changed everything for my wife and me. We didn't have children of our own. And all of a sudden, in our late 50s, we became parents. There was such a gift to have this happen to us later in our life.
Well, Chica even talked about falling in love one day. Watch this little clip.
Why do you want to fall in love?
Because you're in love and I want to fall in love.
You want to fall in love with a boy like Mr. Mitch?
Kind of. Now I'm the boy that I ever met before.
Okay.
Because that's how you did it. You met Miss Janine. You haven't met her before.
You're right. Yeah.
How did this affect Janine? And how did it impact the two of you as a couple?
You know, when children come into your marriage, especially when you've been married for 20 plus years, it's just the two of you. And then all of a sudden, you got to make room.
Well, you talk about the things she taught you. In this next clip, Chica showed how much she loved to sing. Take a look at this.
Twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are.
Where you are?
No.
What you are?
Yeah.
Sure.
See, twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are.
It's a bit like Sonny and Cher, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
And even, honestly, even towards the end when she couldn't walk anymore and I had to carry her from place to place, and I mean everywhere, from the bed to the bathroom and everywhere. And we were sitting coloring one day and I looked at my watch, I realized I was late for work, and I popped up and said, Chica, I gotta go. She said, no, stay and color. I said, Chica, I have to work. She said, Mr. Mitch, I have to play. And I said, I know, Chica, but this is my job. And she said, no, it's not. Your job is carrying me. And, you know, after I laughed, I realized, wow, is that a brilliant statement?
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what my job was, to carry her. And really, my life is now going to be carrying children. I'm at that orphanage every single month. I'm dedicated to it. I'll be there the rest of my life. And I want to see them all succeed. And if I couldn't see Chica live out her full life, then maybe, you know, her legacy can help her brothers and sisters there.
Yeah, and of course, you know that for her, that was her full life.
Yes, and we were blessed to have her in our life for a few years.
Well, I understand that all of the money earned from this book, which will be substantial, as all of your books are, is going directly to the Have Faith Haiti Mission and Orphanage, correct?
Yes, absolutely, every penny of it. That's the best legacy that she and I can do for those other kids.
I have a very special surprise for our audience. You are all going home with a copy of Mitch's book, Finding Chica. And this book is available now in stores and online, and I would really encourage everyone to read it. It is not a sad story. It is a story of celebration. It is a story of victory. It is a story that will uplift you. Pick it up and read it. You'll be glad you did. I want to thank all of my guests today, especially best-selling author and good friend Mitch Albom. For more information about today's show, log on to drphil.com. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I do read your comments. We'll see you next time.